What up, guys? What up, guys? Welcome back to Black Man Unfiltered. Today is Friday, and we cooking with the kings. And as you can see, we got a house full of kings tonight. We got a house full of kings tonight. So I appreciate all the fellas stopping by. Now a few more are going to stop by in a few minutes, and we're going to have this conversation tonight. Again, thank all you guys, man. I appreciate you for coming tonight, and we're going to get right into it. Um, so. I had a lot on my mind thinking about what we were going to talk about today, and I thought about it. It's two different things that's affecting our community, and I heard a lot of you guys on different platforms talk about it. And we talk about the fuck boys, and then we also talk about men that have been irresponsible with their penis, and men that are teaching their sons to be virgins, and men that say, "No, you need to go hit something before you get married." So there's two different concepts of what we talk about. But the first thing I wanted to put out there tonight. The first question: are fuckboys more desired by modern women, and did the modern woman create the fuckboy? We'll start with. I want Aaron. Aaron, go ahead, Aaron. Go ahead.
Okay, so are women more? Are the modern women more enticed by these particular type of guys?
Yeah.
In my experience, I think absolutely. I think it depends on their age, though. I think it starts out when they're younger. They want to have fun. They don't want to be tied down, so they're not necessarily looking for the right guy. They're looking for a guy that, maybe appeals to their feelings. That doesn't necessarily mean he's a good partner. That doesn't necessarily mean he's the right person to select to be a husband. But it makes them feel good, like, oh, he gets me. It's vibes for them. Modern women, it's all about the vibe. So if the right guy is vibing right, whether he's tricking them, most of the modern women don't have a certain type of man in their spirit that can kind of like vet these guys. So they're just, whimsically just going around trying to figure it out on their own. And by the time they get through that, they're in their 30s, 35, 40, and they're like, I want a good man. And that's when the guys that are good men be like, no, y'all was not checking for us back then. You're not about to dump all this on us later on. So ideally, they really are enticed by these guys, because I kind of do think these guys are more, in their perspective, more fun, more entertaining, because they're not as serious. They're more laid back, have fun. They don't care about consequences as much as men that are more serious. So when you look at it like that, as far as they're not as serious as the men that are more serious and more focused, the girls don't necessarily want to be held accountable. So men that are serious hold women accountable. They don't let them get away with little things. They have a certain requirement of how you're going to act and what they're going to tolerate. And women don't want to be controlled when they're younger. They just don't. They finally cave in as they get older. So in that aspect, I do think that's just what they're naturally attracted to when they're younger, because they think these guys fit them and their vibes more often.
And what about that? And what about that second part to the question? When, how were these men created? Like, who was the originator? Who created these fuckboys?
Oh man, the origin. Oh, that's difficult to identify. I think it just comes from a lack of leadership and probably a father figure in their household, to be a grandfather, somebody that just was not around, that could kind of fend off the rest of the bad people around them. So we kind of learn this from people in our neighborhood. Hey, you need to run through the girls. You the man. Like, you get high fives for that. Like, that's normal. Like, just say, you don't need to really care about them. Like, you're not really taught to respect women to a certain degree when you're younger, because it's like, just run through them. They for the streets. It's not like something that's extremely important to guys when they're younger, and guys shouldn't really be focused on them in the first place. So I think the origin just come from people that are not necessarily the right role models. And we're kind of learning this information, because I grew, some of us grew up in the hood. I grew up in the hood. So unfortunately, the role models was the D-boys, anybody that was getting to the money with, the nice car, the rims, because we saw how the young girls even responded to the older guys that was like 26 in the neighborhood. They was 14, but they was still looking at those guys. So it's like, even that was normalized in the projects. I don't know if we ain't gonna get too far deep into that, but like, those type of people kind of influence us, because we don't have anybody strong enough in our own household to kind of filter those people out. And so we kind of learn from the wrong environment. That's why I kind of think it derived from.
Right. And so, so we'll move on to Black David. What's your perspective?
How would I say this? Fuck boys. I think it's not that they're more desirable to modern women. It's more like you call a rental car. You're not trying to have a man, trying to rent a man. So those kind of people are there only when needed. Now, most of the time, I realize these type of guys are more desirable to corporate women who's not ready to settle down. We don't have to say this. 20 years in the field as an IT professional, either be the banking firm or the fashion company. And I see these type of guys who are normally advertising themselves a little bit too hard or they're overselling themselves. You know what I'm saying? So when
Yeah.
I see stuff like that, I start to ask myself, what was the point of you lowering your standards just to date these kind of guys? Now, some don't care. They'll have one today. They have another one 3 days later. That's the same guy. They have another one again next week. And you be wondering, like, okay, like, what's all this all about? And the reason why I see that on a
Ring
corporate
around the
level,
rosy.
most of these women who say they're all about their career, it's more like a stress reliever. I'm not making this one up. Maybe I'm snitching on the women on the corporate America, but they use these type of dude as stress reliever because you know why? They come to work, they do an 8 hour, 12 hour, 14 hour shift. You are a big time banker working in corporate America. You're on the trading floor. You come in at 6 a.m. You don't leave till like almost
I
six
don't know if
p.m.
I don't know if I necessarily call them stress relievers because I mean if they were just stress relievers they'd be fuck toys not fuck boys. I think boys are the attempt to like try to create something out of a potential, which everyone has potential. That's
Yeah, but you know that some of them have like a rotation among who they want to use.
I mean, but you have to be allowed to be rotated to be put in a rotation. You know, they're not men aren't gerbils. You just don't catch them and put them in the ball, and they're in the ball forever. Like they can get
Emmanuel,
out, they can walk out the ball. It's
Emmanuel
perfect.
about to
Thank
have
you, Lance.
a brain aneurysm. Go ahead, Emmanuel. Go ahead.
I don't
Thank
know.
you, Lance. I appreciate
Hold
that.
on, hold on. I need
Hey,
to hear
look,
Emmanuel
I
on
was
this.
listening. See, me being from Atlanta, we're talking game early, and it got nothing to do with what y'all guys talking about. The difference between why women are messing with F boys and they not messing with the people who got it is the F boys are shooting they shot more often. One thing I like about Cheeky, he say, man, I'm focused. I'm on my purpose. I'm trying to figure out my thing. He's not shooting his shot at all. So the only option that they have is this dude that shoot his shot. He might shot his shot 10 times to 10 different women in that day. And he just got a couple bites and we only see what got bite, what bit it. So when we look at these F boys, it's not that they're more desirable. It's not that they don't want a good man. It's just people like Cheeky is not shooting their shots because he's focused on his purpose and try to find that thing. But the guy's like, I got a homeboy right now. You know, he feel like if he don't shoot his shot 10 times a day, you know what I'm saying? He ain't playing the odds. They really believe it's a numbers game. And the reason these F boys get so many attention is eventually it's like a lion that's hunting. Eventually, what's gonna happen is eventually it's gonna be that gazelle that's running a little bit slow, and you're gonna be able to catch him. So it's not that these women want these F boys. It's just that they're shooting their shots, and they actually, the more you shoot your shot, the more they're gonna perfect their shot. That's why when they say they spit in game, it's because if you don't try to talk to 10 women, them a 9 and 10, they get in the perfect pitch. And the biggest thing, another thing, it says that modern women create these F boys. I'm gonna tell you, absolutely not. These F boys been back from BC. I'm telling you, man, these F boys have been around. The only difference from today and back then is that men, we policed it. We wouldn't letting no man come around and just start sleeping with our daughters and different things like that. We wouldn't go let it go down like that. And so the F boys was contained because it men how it worked was men had a covering over their kids, and they wasn't just letting any and every wolf. I call them the wolves. F boys are what we call the wolves. They wouldn't let wolves come in and just take the sheep. It was like, you gonna have to stop by me and you got to talk to me, partner, before you start trying to talk to my daughter. But what happened is we removed that covering off our kids, and we push them out there into the world, and then the wolves are just hunting. They're hunting, and guess what? It's just like, have you ever seen a wolf hunt after a sheep? I'm telling you, boy.
Let me jump in.
Yeah, you can hype in, brother. Go ahead.
Oh, no, because you speaking the truth right now. You speaking facts. So I want to jump in, but if you cooking, keep cooking. The only thing I want to say is that that is so valid because whatever streaming was on where Sayla came on and she was explaining how I understand from Haiti where I know better than to try and get a chick pregnant if I'm in Haiti versus if I'm out here. Like I don't like I'm not gonna get a chick pregnant either way, but that social reinforcement is what's lacking. I think Rilla asked the question, who controls access to sex? And on the logical level that all men understand is that women control access to sex, men control access to relationships. It's that simple, but that simple logic only gets you so far. The next level is, what does the culture say? How do men keep other men from behaving in a certain way? So for me, like, I'll use this as an example. If all y'all was like in the same like neighborhood as me, if y'all was like my neighbors to the left, to my right, I'm in the townhouse in the middle, the 3 houses over there, and then one of y'all had a daughter that was around my age that I just wanted to smash, I would leave her the fuck alone. Because if I know all of y'all is going to talk about me or all of y'all is going to socially reinforce to me one thing, that's one thing. But it's like, that goes back to my original question I ask on every panel I'm on. What's your obligation to the community?
But
Because
Zoe,
I don't care about none of these motherfuckers that live around me.
Wait a minute.
Zoe,
Zoe,
back in the day, I do want to just say this right here.
None of the motherfuckers around for a good 5 square miles.
But listen, Zoe,
I'll vote in the best interest of men. I'll vote in the best interest of. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just want to tell you this right here.
The ones who
Back in
actually
the day,
kept that together. I disagree with you that men were the ones who kept that together. A woman has always been held as sacred, always, and she's always been held to meet that high regard. Always. So back in the day when they were selling the woman's punani first tap, and they was spending all kinds of yen. Ask the Asian culture. Ask the African culture, ask the Russian culture. Women have been sold because of the high value that they were held.
Only women that was sold was the women that didn't have a covering. Because if you came to my house back in the day and Zoe tried to sleep with my daughter, I'm putting hands on Zoe.
But it's not. I don't want to say that we could just release the covering. I mean, the covering was pulled beneath us. There were a lot of obstacles. Couple of wars, some diseases. I mean, there was some stuff that happened to like yank the covering over. So it's not like
Lance has a point. Lance has a point.
It's not like everybody kind of stopped trying. And I hate that people like just kind of dismiss the media's output to this. The media pushed like a whole venom into society to try to make that happen. Just like
I'm not worried about the media too much.
And that's the problem. We don't worry about the media.
I'm saying you have a point. I'm saying you have a point. I'm saying.
I mean, when we started,
I'm saying there's layers of culture, like the same way that we can go from.
Sex has been in every culture. Sex and the taboo of sex and the bending of the rules. That's always been in the culture. It has always been the society to kind of set it straight, and then they destroyed the society. But you couldn't just go have
sex with all these people. See, what we're saying is the pool is bigger. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying it was a lot of women that had a covering that you could not touch. And it was certain women that was just for the streets. If we want to use that word, that was for the streets. Right now, I'm telling you, after 18, none of the women out there got covering. You know what I'm saying?
We're talking about America, though. America is the one with the mixed cultures. America is the one that, because of the mixed culture and the idea of creating another culture of America with a looser society, the reason that all the other cultures hate us because our media impresses upon them a certain right or dictation that women should feel like they have with their bodies, because we're preaching the lack of control and censorship and this, that, and the others. We are applying our own beliefs or lack of beliefs onto other countries. And we're the only country that's really just going buck wild fucking crazy when it comes to sex and the culture. There are plenty of There are
I'm
plenty
telling
other
you,
countries that
you
still
go over
holding
to
women in
Germany.
high regard. There are still
brother.
African cultures that still have rings around the neck. So if the woman cheats on them, they snap those rings off and hurt if she dies. Like she fixates on
But
herself. I mean,
it's
that's
not
still
just
happening.
America. This is going on in Canada. It's going on in Germany. Is off the chain. China is off the chain.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's an exception
So,
to there. They have a
Be a black
maturity
man
when
in
it comes to
Germany.
sex.
hold on. Well, besides all of that, I think what's being missed, right? So this idea are F boys more desired by modern women? The answer is yes, because there's a
They're
reason.
modern,
Right. One, that's the reason why the word modern is in the question.
right?
Is that there's this a new idea of how things function and work. So for us to refer to the past is not. I don't think that's a problem. But here, the thing is this: the reason why the reason why there's a saying that nice guys finish last is because that's what women dictate. It's not like men have been determining that since the beginning of time or since forever. We didn't come up with that term because we're the ones choosing men. We're not the ones that are choosing men unless you're homosexual. But outside of that, it's women that determine that. Women determine nice guys finish last because there's a repeated cycle. I want this person, and when I've come to settle down or do whatever I want, when I want that family security, I choose the nice guy. Right. So
can we agree that they don't have the choice?
This is why I said that there's layers of culture. That's why I said that there's layers of culture.
right.
Oh,
So
go ahead.
with that being said,
Go ahead, Emmanuel.
I just question Cheeky, if the nice guy never shot his shot at a young age, we're talking about a young age. If none of the nice guys are really shooting their shot because they're looking long term for their future, do they really have any options of the nice guy unless they start pursuing the nice guy? They don't have that option.
So that's
this
perception
that
that
one and the same. I mean,
well,
I would hate, and I would just like to repel the term fuckboy. If we're going to give women the respect to call them modern women, and we know what we're speaking of modern women, which we're talking about like women who don't hold the classic views that some of us may believe that they should adhere to, then we should start calling fuckboys modern boys because they're making decisions. No one's a victim of anything at this point. We are well educated to know the depths of our
agree with you. I
insecurities and our
absolutely agree with you.
imbalances.
I absolutely agree with you.
I'm just a modern man. I ain't no fuckboy. I don't know who fuckboy is. I'm just a
That's
modern
why I'm
man.
saying we should get rid of fuckboy because every man has the chance to be as modern as possible.
This
I
goes back.
I have a question. I have a question real quick, Cheeky. Maybe you can answer this. How are we classifying a modern man? We don't normally talk about them as much.
All right. So and this only goes back to the point that women typically run culture. All right.
54%.
54%. What are you asking? What were you saying?
54% of men who do not. 54%. Okay, I don't know the stat too well. I think it's 54% of men who are single and unmarried without kids.
65.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I fit into that category, and that's 54%.
Okay, so I give
that's all I was saying. Modern men,
I'll
I'll take that every time. If y'all be like, oh, it's the fuck boys. If y'all say fuck boys, it make me sound like y'all trying to blame Pookie and Ray Ray again. I'm just like, nah, it's not Pookie and Ray Ray.
Right,
it's
that's what I'm saying.
I feel us personally accountable to.
So can we,
we should be able to hold each other accountable.
Exactly.
Well,
I'm not going. I'm not.
Again, this goes back
the term.
to this
I appreciate
idea.
the term modern man. Thank you, Lance.
It goes back, but again, the only reason why we're saying is because this is what women have made popular. All right, like we didn't come together as men and go, this is what we're going to call ourselves. This is what women have determined. This tendency of men is this is their title, and it seems as if we've all wait, Simpsons with modern men.
See,
Can I say something?
There's a lot of alphas in modern men too.
Because I mean, a simp.
There's not just simps in modern men.
See, we ain't got I haven't got an answer to how we classifying modern man. I'm
okay.
I like calling them F boys, and the reason
I gave an answer. I gave an answer. They're just debating it.
Well, no, we need to call them what they is. If you an F boy, you out there making 6 or 7 babies. I know a guy right now got 9 kids and talking about he wants 3 more. And
I mean, he's part of it. He's part of creating. I mean, he's not just like a missile shooting and like these women have
to make a
distinction too.
I got
our decisions.
I need some clarification.
You got to divide me. You
got to make a distinction amongst the options for women.
But the thing is, there is a distinction.
Can I say something?
Between the options? Go ahead.
May I speak?
You may answer. Yes.
Before I respond to Aaron's question, I want to respond to Emmanuel comment about if nice boy don't quote make their shot. As a former nice guy, I did make my shot during my high school, but what it was to have sex, we would have the steady girlfriend. Because back in the days, it used to be a cool thing whereby you had a girlfriend that you took your time to get to know who she is. You study together, you go to places, stuff like that, without sex being involved. The problem is, due to peer pressures, if that girl is part of the popular crew, she not gonna be into being steady with a nice guy. So it's not like nice guys don't shoot their shot. They do shoot their shot, but not with the intention of having sex.
But
That's what the problem is.
so just let me respond to that little piece you just said. What
Okay.
I'm telling you is the F boy. I don't even like saying I get that it's an F boy, but let's say the guy who's shooting his shot. Let's say the player. Let's use the word player. The player that's shooting his shot compared to that nice guy that's shooting his shot. The nice guy don't even have a chance. He don't even have. I mean, he done perfected his shot for the simple fact that he done shot it so many times. And so
Hold on,
I
man.
give you that.
Hold on. Let me jump in real quick. But so when you say that, like the nice guy, he ain't perfected his shot. But if he is the nice guy, and if women want nice guys, why does he have to perfect it if that's what they're looking for?
Looking for
they want their best
exactly.
option.
Because wait.
They want their best
Hold
option.
on. The question was, are women looking for F boys? And when I said yeah, you kind of pushed back on it. I'm like, if they're looking for good guys, why are you saying they have to perfect the pitch that okay, go ahead, bro.
I'm going to tell you, Aaron. Listen, the woman is hypergamy, and she wants the best option out there. The person who shoot his shot the best looks like the best option up front. So that F boy, he's spitting this game. He's telling that he might look like the best option at the time compared to that nice boy. You don't know that the nice boy is the guy.
But this would drive Cheeky so crazy. We say women have intuition. Women got these inner thoughts. They can fit. And you saying basically, no, the guy, if he perfect his shot, we can just manipulate him like here. Forget all that intuition. I'm just saying that's what drives Cheeky crazy. And I know where he's coming from.
Let me add on to what Aaron said. You know, back then in the high school years, during the 80s and the 90s, whereby girls to make fun of nice guy, set them up, pretend, oh, we'll go out with you and everything, set out to be embarrassed. So when they get out there and they get caught in that game, we think that nice guy starts to feel. They feel like, yo, I didn't know they should play me for a fool. Nice guy will bust their behind, bottom of the road, be nice, be courteous them, take them out, wine and dine, and be all that, everything. Want to help them with their homework, help them with their study. But now that they're being played.
Well,
so for a nice guy who got played a couple of times, I know they feel like to be embarrassed.
So here's the thing: the issue with the term "nice guy" is it's a lot more broad and nuanced than the term "f boy." The term "f boy" is very derogatory, right? And it's known the things that are associated with "f boys" is selfishness in regards to sexual pleasure, selfishness in regards to choices. The man has no obligation or any real responsibility to the woman. There's no consideration of what role she plays in the quote unquote relationship. All right, but with the nice guy, I don't buy roses. That's not my thing. Or maybe it's just I'm just trying to figure out who you are. Just know you as a person. All right. So this idea that nice guy is just this dude who just goes above and beyond in order to please a woman, that may be on one extreme, but there are people who are just genuinely good people or good men who are saying, hey, my intention is not to just have sex with you and leave you to the wayside, but if that's what you want, you're going to choose it. Like at the end of the day, we always say women control access to sex and men control access to relationships, but in all honesty, women control both. Because if a woman doesn't want to be in a relationship with you, then it's not going to happen. The ways that you teeter the probability of being desirable is working on yourself as a man, right? So those are the things.
I was gonna. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So for example, if a man proposes and a woman says no,
it's over.
But time out. But you see how we say we have control, or we control access to relationships into I agree. If we don't propose, she can't say yes or no. But if we do propose and she says no, the control is now no longer on your side. So
A man shouldn't propose to a woman if she ain't gonna say yes. These conversations should have already.
I agree. I agree, Emmanuel.
So like with me, when I talk to my wife, I said, check this out. I'm gonna let you know how this works. I'm proposing one time. You say no. Hey, you got to go. Like I set the rules up front. Like, hey, you get one proposal. I said I plan on proposing one time in my life. I only proposed one time, and I said, hey, I proposed, got down on one knee in the restaurant. They came out with chocolate and said, would you marry me on the plate? I said, hey, would you marry me? And she said yes. If she would have said no, I would have had to go. I would have left right then at that moment.
Okay, so quick question. Did you pursue your wife or did she pursue you?
I pursued her.
So if she would have said no after your pursuit, then what?
But I would have knew that before. That's what I'm saying. It's almost like the biggest thing that I'm telling you is I knew where she was at already. We was already marriage shouldn't. If you propose marriage to a woman, it shouldn't be a surprise. Hey, I'm just letting you know.
I agree.
Check this out. I'm trying to move this way. I'm trying to get married.
Hey, E, I had that same.
Women propose first. Women propose. They say things like, "Ah, I want to be married."
Yes,
they kind of tell you without asking you.
Let's go to no. Hey, to go with
I'll say in my situation, and this is anecdotal, but it wasn't like that with my wife. My wife didn't make me marry her. She didn't say you better propose to me or anything like that. But just like Emmanuel was talking about, we did have that conversation before I even proposed, because I mean, I think you should have that communication before you even get down on one knee. It shouldn't be like, I hope she says yes. And I think that's, I was going to kind of bring it back to the question, is I think a lot of that comes with we're not being taught the correct way by the people before us. And I think that's why women might choose the way they choose. And to kind of speak to Kaya's question, she was like, are we talking about women or are we talking about girls? And I think sometimes we are talking about girls at first that grow into women, but you got to understand that these girls aren't taught properly how to choose a proper leader. So what's happening is they end up choosing wrong. They end up giving access to their bodies to the wrong people. And I think initially they do want the F boys, but ultimately they find out that that's not going to work. That's not what they want. And so when they get older and they get to the point where some of us label them as they have a high body count or whatever, then that's when they kind of sharpen up and they go, okay, the F boys are not the direction I want to go in. I want the nice guy. I want the nerd. I want the person, you know what I'm saying? And it's not fair, but I think that's just what happens.
So I agree with you. That's why I say that's why when the question is asked, are F boys more desirable by modern women? The answer would be yes, because if we're looking at things from a modern culture and time frame, it only makes sense. You can't have a woman's liberation. The whole reason why it even existed was women started analyzing that men are having sexual escapades in a very open form, and it's okay for them. And they said they want the same access, right? So I just want to make. So what I'm saying, but here's the thing: the difference between us, when I say us, I mean Western civilization, is this idea of democracy and having liberty and being able to do what you want to do. So culturally, the way we view sex is not the same how every other culture views it, because if you look in the Eastern Hemisphere, they view culture very differently. They view not culture, but they view sex very differently. Right. So sex for most middle,
but in the manner that we do share the similarity globally is that men completely have more of the reign sexually than women. We are the only culture that actually lets women have their free liberties to do what they're and we just
started doing that.
Really just now got to the point where we started super judging for them, which we started ramping back up, specifically targeting Black women like we did last time, which is weird to me.
Ooh,
but I think it's weird that somebody's receiving that history repeat again. But it's almost like a sideways slavery again, and it's starting with the women, and it's crazy. It's crazy because they just got their freedom. The only difference is that men's egos are hurt because we've never even considered a a future or a destiny where they did it without us. It was always apparent. We've been seeing white people just kind of break apart. Whatever. Look at white women. White women can do whatever the fuck they want to. Honestly. I think everybody like feels like common consensus about that. But I don't think anybody really considered that black women doing what they wanted or how they would act when they had that liberty to do so.
But
I don't think anybody just foresaw that really. And it kind of took everybody by surprise. But in actuality, no matter how extreme it may seem, it's still, this is the modern man and this is the modern woman.
But I
And that's
really
what it
want to
is.
say this is
There
that
are no fuck boys or bitches or sluts. Like, this is what it is. Everybody's pretty much a slut or has access to be. And there's very few that are making the decision actively not to go that route.
Hey, but you know,
but the women
part of
really
that,
want.
man-
I want to
Oh,
make
go
this
ahead,
one
go ahead,
point,
Ian.
Casey, and I'm gonna
No,
let you
you
go.
good, you good.
The women don't want the F boys; they want the most popular option, and that's not always the F boy. So
I
it's the,
disagree. I think they want any option, honestly. And I seriously disagree with you.
Hold
Fuck
on,
boy
hold
or
on.
otherwise.
I don't
Hold on.
agree.
Because
Hold on.
if a
because the
bitch
football player, they want the football player, they want the basketball player.
No,
They
I
want
feel
the,
like that's I feel like that's the egocentrical identity crisis of some
Hold
men
on.
who may have struggled with that type of popularity like
No.
problem in school where they know that they are good people and they see them going out with people who are lack character. And I think yes, it has carried over to some of the adults because the adults don't like Shiki Banner said, they have not really had the experience to form the foundation and the core that they need to figure out what it is that they need to actually get the kind of guy that they think they deserve. But in actuality, everybody that's out here that's getting what they deserve is getting what they deserve. We are well informed and we are intent. We have made the choice. We have sex that's available for free. They have the apps. We joined them at some point in time. I mean, everybody's, I think it's pretty much like tried it, if not almost everybody. Let's not be so like the problem is that it's become disassociative to our regular lives. We've actually said sex isn't important at all.
Let me add to
And
this.
now we can just label somebody a fuck boy or a slut and we could just throw that title or a simp. When in actuality, I see a fuck boy, I just see a dude who has the opportunity to have sex. That's it. I mean, and that's always been for every man. If they've ever had the opportunity to, it was, of course, it was like a bigger deal because they weren't getting it like that. Like they had to go to a special house, But after the war, I think I think they kind of all turned. We had a lot of men out here who were well informed of sexuality. There were a lot of virgins that went to the war. A lot of virgins that went to the war, and the dialogue kind of got changed. But now it's become this negative thing. I just would stop treating sex like it's a negative. People are out here having sex, and it's not fuck boys and fuck girls. It's just modern men and modern women.
Well,
There are people that are educated and are sluts.
I don't think people are just. I don't think people are. I think the issue is, in my opinion, I think that we look at sex as just this physical act, and I think it's a lot deeper than that. I think it's more than that. And I think it has ruined us as a society to devalue. I think we have actually devalued sex to the point where it's just like we think it's just sex and then we move on to the next person and it's just sex and we move on to the next person. And I think that has warped our view on sex. And that's why we're kind of backwards now. And that's why in a lot of these conversations, when you're talking about women choosing wrong and even men choosing wrong or acting wrong, it all comes down to just people just chasing sex because we don't treat sex in the way that it should be treated.
Let me add to that because before you had the Tinder or the Adult Finder or the Bebo in high school, in high school, you know this very well. If it wasn't the popular guy or the popular guy, they're creating a rating scale about who the most popular, who the most likely to go to bed with, who the more likely, and they separate guys from different categories. We had the sport jock, right? We had the nerd, we had the geek, we had the school putney, whatever type of category they have. 9 out of 10, the most popular girl create a system whereby if you try to date the most unpopular individual, they'll let you know, don't go down that route. They'll separate you automatically. You cannot say that's not true. Because 9 out of 10, if you're not a cheerleader or you're part of the debate club, whatever, they're like, no, Don't think they got. They would put you to that direction. Now, those who are considered nerdy or quirky or whatever, we'll put at the back end. We're not meant to be talked about. We're not meant to be looked at in the cafeteria. You know that very, very well. If you're not popular, you get the last table at the corner right there. You sit right there in the cafeteria. You don't bug nobody. All the popular people sit over here. All the cool people sit over here. All the goth sit over there. The unpopular people at that corner. Then now we have Bebo. Then we had my Tito, whatever you want to call that. You either swipe left or you swipe right.
But what
You
the
can't
point
say
that
that.
I'm
You
making
cannot say
is,
that never existed.
It's not that it
but
doesn't
the point
exist
that I
yet,
want
but
to
I mean
make
we
is
have
this right
control
here is
now.
that,
We
but
have a false sense of control over that now.
but
Like
it's
and
about
plus we have
popularity.
enhancement. I mean, but no, we have enhancements now. Like I mean, we live in a whole different world. Like a lot of more people can become popular. People are transforming themselves to a level of likability that we never thought. You can get with the trashiest fucking girl, the trashiest, and you wouldn't even see it because she's reinvented herself. You can get with the most fuck boys of fuck boys, and the girls would never know it. The guys would because they hang out with this dude like on a regular basis. But like in actuality, like they know how to be the best person and present themselves. We have plenty of people that talk about what kind of person you should be. It's just that nobody actually waits until they see what kind of person someone actually is. And that's because, like y'all are saying in so many words, we don't hold sex in a high value as we did anymore. It's a transaction. It's a good feeling and it's a euphoria bust and it's a coke habit. You know,
Well,
it's a
I believe
habit.
that is. I believe that it's Russell Westbrook's out there not Russell Westbrook, but the guy
Russell
from
Wilson.
Seattle, Russell Wilson. I know a quarterback today who went to Laney High School in Georgia. He was a church going guy. He was the number one quarterback in Georgia, and he was a virgin. He didn't have sex, and every woman desired him. I really believe it's about who's popular and who's not. It have nothing to do with F boy. Now some of these athletes become F boys, but it's about if you was popular, you got the girls, and if you're not popular, you don't get the girls. I think it have
So
nothing to do with
are
modern.
good
But
guys?
it's not
Are
that
good guys
now.
popular? Hold on. So are good guys popular?
Yes, it's good guys out there that's popular. Like I'm saying, I know people who play
Bro.
football.
Not in
who's-
general. I don't
I'm
think
not. I'm not gonna lie. I know a lot. I know a
but
lot of good. I know a lot of good, respectful dudes
I
that I
beg your
went to school
pardon?
with. That like they went to church. You know, they had all A's and B's. They were in football
Are
or
we talking about
soccer.
high school?
No,
Yeah,
Hold
I
on,
mean
hold on,
in
hold on,
high
hold on.
school and college.
You
What are
said
we
And
talking
they
about?
were. I mean, they're just decent. They were just decent guys, and they got laid because I mean, at the same time, you think that women don't see like nerds and shit like that, but in actuality, like these nerds get like a little bit of manscaping, and then like all of a sudden they're not just like nerds anymore. Okay, like it's about actually just
Gee,
like
let
they
me
done learned presentation and everything.
wait,
They
ladies,
just
did
they
you
just
say
like the women with
manscaping?
the makeup
hold on,
on.
hold on. Time out.
Time out, bro.
Hold
Did you
on.
really say
This
manscaping, bro?
Look,
this
they clean it
this
up on
this
y'all.
not
Oh,
the
That's the
wow.
Maury
problem. They
show.
clean it up
This
on
is
that
not the
ass.
Ricky Lake show.
This
You
man
can't tell
said
me.
No.
I
Oh
got
Hold on,
no,
hold on,
one.
no,
hold on,
that is
hold on.
America. No, I disagree. It is very much the Ricky Lake show. It is very much the Maury show. Media is only a representation of what we are or a representation of what they want us to be. So either way, it's gonna be one or the other. You can't tell me that we can't sit up here and have this whole podcast week after week and saying we're not talking about the very shit that we see on Ricky Maury and Montel and what we done seen all the way up to who know what TV show. Now it's just a court show. We go straight to the fraternity now. Like we're going to Judge Hatchett. We Judge Joe Brown. We're going to Judge Mathis. I mean, don't like that is our reality. So I mean, don't get it twisted. That's us. That's
Now,
America. We had Trump.
Man,
That's
no.
wait,
America.
hold up. You say good boys, good guys are not popular. If good guys aren't popular, how come the marriage rate is not high but down? That's something I
because
cannot
because the
comprehend.
idea of marriage is has been exposed for the archaic prison that it is. Nobody
Damn.
nobody no
Whoa,
The
nobody's really.
devil is a
Whoa, wait a
liar.
minute.
That's
Whoa,
a statement right there.
Hey, I
The
mean, is it
Is that
devil
wrong?
is a
statement?
liar.
Because
That
okay, the standards of marriage is very different in
Wait,
America
hold
than they
on,
are every
I'm
other
gonna say
place.
it. No.
hold on, Lance. Hold on, Lance. You said archaic in prison. I think no fault divorces make prison no longer prison.
Hey, listen, even the Bible says that we're supposed to be slaves to God. It's about your contentment in your heart.
Man.
It's not about who frames it as what. However you see it. I see it
Oh
for
my
some
God.
look, when I see a successful marriage
Oh
now,
my
it's
God. Oh
beautiful.
my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Successful marriages are beautiful. I love them. Honestly, it makes me cry. I love going to weddings and shit. It's a hopeful thing. Like to see that hope just start. But let's be real. How many of us have seen that hope go down in a ball of fire?
I think
Big
people
old
don't
ball.
understand the
Look,
mystery in marriage.
man,
See,
but this proves the point of a cultural view, right? Like if everyone has this view of marriage, and or not saying you're the only one, because I don't think your viewpoint of marriage is far fetched. I think other
Yeah.
people think that way.
go
That's
ahead.
not
How
my
about this
viewpoint of
time?
marriage. That's my viewpoint of how I see marriage going for others. That's not my viewpoint of marriage. I have a
Okay,
completely different hope when it comes to marriage.
okay,
I believe in the structure. I've told
well,
people this before. I'm kind of communist when it comes to like marriage and shit like that and actual structure. I Structure is structure. It works. It
No,
has
but
worked. For whatever reasons it did work. It worked. Everybody was like consistent. Everybody was agreeable. It fit. But I mean, it's just not gonna happen these days. People got too many options. People
it's
forget we
People
had
get
a whole
married
lack of
now.
options.
it's not that. It's again, it's about the perception in the culture, right? So this negative idea of marriage is not formed because it's normalized, right? Like there,
That's true.
whenever men speak on marriage, they always speak on it from a negative perspective. And whenever women speak on marriage, they speak on it from a negative perspective.
I don't think
yeah, I wouldn't use it
A
as
I don't
vast
think the
majority.
married men are speaking negative. That must
But
be just single people.
you're married, so why
yeah.
would you speak negative if you're
Hold
married?
up. Let me say something. Let me tell you
It's the
something.
people who don't
Can I say,
necessarily have that idea, because the question was yesterday, what if you look at the show from yesterday on Lapeef, the question was who benefits more from marriage, and majority of the polls said women.
women.
But that's because if you don't understand this idea of marriage, or you have a misconception about it, of course you'll say one or the other, not say we both flourish. But I experience things that I wouldn't experience because I have a wife. But again, today's modern man doesn't think that way, and today's modern woman didn't think that way about marriage, simply because it's not pushed. What's
Well,
pushed is what's pushed is if you get married, you can almost lose everything. That's the you know what I
Yeah.
know about marriage? I know about statistics. 50% of marriage ends in divorce. 70% of that marriage is initiated by women. 80% in the black community is initiated by black women. Why do I know that? Because those are talking points, and those things are oftentimes emphasized from men, and from women. They talk about not wanting to submit because they're afraid that men aren't the men they're supposed to be, and that they're not financially desirable. These things are true, and if you say otherwise, I don't know what you're listening to, because this is
But
taught in media as
exactly.
well.
I'm
I
very
just I
happy.
Let
think
me
it
I think
shows
I
that
let
I
me
that
have a
just
interject
shows
here.
conversation.
Hold
that
on.
you
Let me
listening to hurt.
interject here.
I
Let me
said
interject here.
that just shows that you listen to hurt men or hurt women. Like people that's functioning successful is not saying those things.
Well,
I
E,
thought
hold
It's
on.
not.
Let me say.
It's
Let
E,
me
not.
say.
I
Let
It's
me
think
say.
not
I
hurt
think the
men.
issue
It's
is
not hurt
too.
That's
men or
not the
women.
majority though.
People who are married like you and myself and Canadian and Dwayne, I think people need to speak out more about the benefits of marriage and because I think Cheeky has a valid point. We are being drowned out by the negative
Yes.
connotation when it attached to marriage. And the thing is, I think even the bigger issue too is even people who are getting married really don't understand what they're signing up
What
for,
they're
and
getting
that's why it
into.
ends up ultimately failing. But I think more of us do need to speak out about marriage, about how to conduct marriage. I think that's why a lot of us like Anton, because Anton is someone who speaks positively about marriage, and we're not used to hearing that. Because when
Exactly.
you get on these panels, if you remove people like Anton, right? All you hear is negative information. I know the same statistics, Cheeky, because that's all I hear. And I'm married. I'm
But
married out here, and I'll be like, dang, like, hold up. You know
but
what
but
I'm
you,
saying?
I like what Anton he used the
As a
restaurant
married guy
example.
who the father and the grandfather, I hear that a lot. But I remember what Trill said yesterday. We do have people who want to get married because if you are benefiting if you are benefiting stuff that people who are married enjoy, sex, companionship, being cooked, be taken care of. When women get out the way easily without being married, why would a guy want to be married? Which I fully understand that.
No.
When they talk about the difference of an F boy, the F boy is
I
an
agree.
upgrade version of a player. Let's make it simple. Back in the day, we had players. They upgrade to F boys. That way they went to the next level. That was what it was all about. But let's be real though. If women are giving away sex that easy, and the women are taking care of their men that easy without being married, cooking for them, washing their clothes, investing in all that extra without being married, most guys would not want to be married anyway.
But most guys would marry them. They would marry that guy, that woman. I'm telling you what I know. So we teach women this theory is this right here. We say, hey, don't do nothing until you get married. And then they're supposed to just turn it all on when they get married. I believe women supposed to do all these things, and they should have a cutoff date. So they, like my wife, for example, she was cooking, she was cleaning. When we hit that 1 year mark, she said, hey, I need to know what we're doing. Are we moving forward or we not? Because I'm going to take my resources somewhere else. I believe that she proved to me that she had those abilities way before I committed to it. So I don't think we just say, women, shut the cow down and then some man going to come get you. I believe that they need to.
Hey, how old you was when you got married?
28 years old.
When you got married?
28 years old. I was 28 when I got married, 3 years ago.
Man.
My bad. I thought you had a follow up to that.
I just did. I was waiting for it.
That's what I was waiting on.
Let me bring this one up. You got this guy called Jim Jones. Everybody know who he is from distance. He been with a girl for how many years?
A long time. Like I think it's 15 plus.
He enjoyed almost every single benefit that he would get if you were married without being married. When his girlfriend time to to get married, you know what he brought up? Why would I get married when we're doing all this already in the first place? We're living together. We're shacking up.
If she would have had a cutoff at the year 1 and said, hey, you got to either marry me. I believe women's supposed to put pressure on men. And she should say, hey, man, hey, are we getting married or we not? And if he says, no, I don't look at you as my wife, she need to move on and go find somebody who do consider her as a wife.
In my neighborhood, in my community, I see that a lot. You have people who have been boyfriend and girlfriend for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, living together, having kids, having sex, invest in one another, get all that treatment that you put to get in married without getting married. What makes you think the moment they get married they will stay even longer?
Well, the question becomes, what is the point of what is marriage?
Well,
and maybe if we can answer that question and we can build value around it. I don't even think we've even gotten to the point where we can build value around marriage, because for most of the black men that I know that've gotten married, I would have to say that deep down, most of them just wanted to prove a point. Not to say it wasn't a good and valid point, but to prove a point to her that I'm committed. I mean, I think that's right. For most men, it is very much that simple. For women, it's more complex, but for men, it's like, okay, I need to prove to you that I want you forever. You know, and I don't want to try to do this extra shit anymore.
That I understand, but let's be real here. Based on everybody coming out, I live in Brooklyn, New York. We have seen people who have been married. We have seen people who have bad marriage. What we see on the outside, we say, you know what? I don't want to be like this guy because he got a bad marriage. Or you go around the block, you see the same, you see people fight. I understand that. So people avoid being married. So you know what? What if I me being married could be a boyfriend again and do just that? Because here's the problem. No one was taught the true foundation of what marriage really is. Ever have a different definition of what marriage is. Throughout my 20, I asked a lot of people what marriage is. They're not going to tell me, they tell me the piece of paper. It's just going to court. It's just, the problem is, the way people are hearing marriage, it makes it sound like it's so trivial.
I mean, marriage, it has become trivial. It used to be simple. It used to be a man who had something, spoke to the parents of this woman, and if he had enough, then he was hers. And it was so ordered. It didn't used to be trivial because there was a whole factor that wasn't even a part of the purpose. We're the one who built this kind of value where both people should have a decision. I mean, we can't ignore that marriage came from a very sordid history. Marriage was very much a thing of necessity. Can
I ask you real quick?
That's not true.
Were women hypergamous back then? Were women hypergamous back then? When you would go and say, I'm in need of a wife, were women, do you think women were high? So if you said that, yes, See, these
Hold on.
just not adding
Okay,
up.
let
like,
me speak from my side of the culture. Let me speak from my side of the
Wait. Are
culture.
we saying that women's nature? Okay, so before we even go any
I'm
further,
trying to understand.
before we go any further, are we saying that this idea of hypergamy is a new concept that only applies to modern women? And if so, I'm not saying I disagree or agree. I'm just trying to hold people accountable to their talking points. If you subscribe to that talking point.
Well,
So
can I answer that, Kiki?
Wait. Let me ask the question in totality.
Okay.
Is hypergamy only? Is that idea? Does that only apply to modern women, or is it a part of woman's nature? That's the question.
Wait, I want to make sure I'm getting the question right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're asking is this a part of woman's nature to have been chosen?
That's a very easy question.
Is hypergamy a part of woman's nature, or is this only applied to modern women's? Is hypergamy only applied to modern women? That's the
I
question.
agree, Kia.
Well, so
Hey, what's a modern woman? What's a modern?
That we gonna get to
Kia,
what's a modern
Kia,
woman.
yes, I agree.
I haven't got nothing to find today.
So what? Let's talk about hypergamy. So yes, women are hypergamy at nature, but they was less educated. So if you only got a 5th grade education and you can't work, every man is higher than you. It's every single man. If he can prove himself to your father, and your father proved him, because it came to why two families can come together.
But Emmanuel, they didn't just want any man; they wanted the best. So yes,
But
you can
didn't get
you
the
can make
best.
the argument that every man had more education than them, but they wanted the man that was making the most money, who was the most revered in status and things like that. They always wanted the
but that
best.
wasn't the case often, though.
Yeah,
that wasn't. I mean, there were just regular people. Most people were regular Joes with like some regular stuff.
Jetty, can you speak to this?
Like
Jetty,
they just had
can you
Joes.
speak to this?
I think
I'm about to go
what you're
Nigeria.
doing is
Jetty, can you
traded.
speak to this?
But
You're
it
conflating
wasn't like a selling. It wasn't a selling. It was an investment into your own family. As a woman, it was a pride to have given your. So I mean, it is, and we see it today modernly as slavery, and for some instances, it probably was for some women because they did not have their pride. They did not want to just be. They were getting sold. They were stealing. You know, they're getting sold off to some old dude. You know, I mean,
why do we do that? Why do we
everyone.
do that? Why do we do that to women of olden time? Why do they have to be silly where this woman is always being victimized? Why do we do that? Why don't they have a choice?
Well,
why couldn't it be? Why couldn't it be?
We're pro-feminist. We're pro-choice.
Why could it not be
that
what happened was that the men in the family had a vetting process to help her in those decision-making skills, because they didn't just make them on their own.
Oh no,
that's
that
the difference.
Yeah,
That's the difference. When we start talking about what marriage is and what it was, that's the biggest difference. The marriage is a combination of family. The reason why I gave you a dowry was because that was a representation of my family and my structure. So
yes, it was. There are very many families that still see it in other countries to this day as two enterprises coming together to become an empire of some sorts. I agree with you, but it was not like that for everybody. Not everybody had to.
It was not like that in the U.S.
No, and that's what he said.
Hold on, let me It was not like that in the U.S. Anyone that came outside from this country would tell you either a Nigerian or from Ghana or from the Middle East. They still practice it to this day. I have seen big, lavish wedding whereby the father of the bride was given a huge acre of land, 15 cattle, 8 servants, gold. All they have been going on for many, not even decades, centuries. Even the Bible talked about this. They were practicing. Hold on. They
that was the 9s and 10s.
That's not even Lance's point.
This happened outside of the United States of America. You go to any other third world country, either go to South America, they still do it. If you go to Africa,
but you might only get 1 cow. You might not get 3 cows because your daughter.
The problem is, is based on the currency. The olden days, it was cow, was cattle, was land, it was food, it was vegetable.
With wealth and
When you
resources.
fast forward based on different realm of currency, it end up becoming money. Some people are giving real estate. Some people are giving a huge chunk of money. Some people are giving share stock in a particular company. In Japan, I read about Japanese culture that they do to this day. When you're married to a family, and you're joining my corporation with your corporation. I got a business, you got a business. We go interlock together. It's a political marriage. Their marriage are based on political. Their marriage based on something.
Sometimes the purpose was security that only a man
But the
could
thing
provide.
is,
And
it's
sometimes
only
it
in
was children. The only value that woman had been told that she had, which was usually the biggest value, was bringing life. I mean, and they looked very much forward to that value. It's not to say that the marriages were looked upon and like dismissed, or all of them were just horrible. I'm just saying now that there's not that structural thinking to abide by.
So,
But
so
we
has the
have that
value
liberty
changed?
now.
I would say this: if I
That
didn't
liberty
marry
is
my
freedom,
let me
but
say
it's
this.
structure.
Let me say this: if I didn't marry my wife, which is from Trinidad, if I allowed my family intervene, my wife would definitely be from Nigeria, would be rearranged.
Change.
And I've been doing that since I turned 20. I am 43. I chose to marry my wife after I turned 30, 31. Which I avoided all the arranged setup with this girl, with that girl throughout my whole 20. Are you kidding me? Jenny's a Nigerian. You would tell you
We
this.
talk about America.
Yes, I'm telling
Hello.
you.
No, there
you
was no
guys are not
joke.
addressing
To the
Lance's
day.
point. Y'all not addressing his point. His point is he understands that. He's not unknowledgeable about how things operate. His point was in the United States, things don't operate in that way. All I was saying is I gave a the issue that I have with this mindset is it's either silly or arranged marriages. But even in the in between, the man was still involved. That's why there was more involvement. That's why it was a big deal to meet the father of the house whenever your daughter wanted to go date. That's why even in movies today, when their daughter go off and sneak out with their boyfriend, the father's like, why? It's because it's still, even though it may not be as prominent as arranged marriages, it's not as removed as we would like to make it seem. There's still that idea of there needs to be a vetting process, right? And so this I don't want to make it seem like it's silly where women are just slaves and then it's arrangement. There's a middle ground where men.
Say that, man.
Can I answer the last question? What purpose of marriage is? Because I don't think none of us actually answered his question.
Well, I think he asked what marriage is.
Right.
What marriage is? Okay.
Not the purpose, but what is it?
What is
go
it?
ahead. Yeah,
so what marriage is when two people come together, they make a commitment. They say the commitment. Some people don't mean it. That they're going to be together forever, and it's a forever business relationship. So what it is saying that as we come together, if you get married, guess what? Your car insurance go down. You paying only for one rent. You really having, it's really not only just a financial point of view, but you financially joining two people together so that you guys can thrive from a financial point of view. It's also a spiritual point of view. When we look at it from a spiritual point of view, this, in the eyes of God, you are two separate people actually becoming one. So when he see y'all, when he see Emmanuel Williams, he also see Miss Pamela Williams too. He don't see us separate anymore. So from a spiritual point of view, it's a way for us actually coming together. So I think those are the two biggest aspects as you bring in finances together and being able to prosper forever. I believe that you should be married forever. Divorce shouldn't even be a conversation, in my opinion.
I completely agree with you. I believe the covenant of marriage should be taken very seriously. And it's one of the problems today. Like, you get married. It's a very serious decision.
Hey, let Jedi go. Jedi has something to say. Go ahead, Jedi.
No, so I didn't want to interject because we were kind of going two different topics about, moving from what actually marriage was to now with the fuckboy and was the woman actually allowing that to happen, and also distinction from fuckboy and nice guys, because I kept hearing this, I don't know if it's been discussed, but are we insinuating that the nice guy is the good man? Because like I said before, niceness is an act. Even then there's still a type of manipulators trying to get, with women. So, and hence they're also a player too. They're just playing their own narrative, not really by the looks of what the same game plan that the fuckboy is going through. But I want to ask that question: that have we made that distinction before I came on the panel?
No.
So I want to bring that up to that topic.
Well, I think an F boy is someone who's out there spilling his seeds everywhere. He got 6 or 7 kids. Just because a man is out there sleeping with multiple women, I don't classify him as an F boy. But if you talking about you just out here just nutting and everything, and you out here got 6 or 7 kids, you ain't got no job, you ain't taking care of your kids, I think that's what classifies people as an F boy. That's why I said we need to kind of define it, because an F boy is not, just because it's a player, don't mean that he's an F boy. Those are two totally different things.
So
there's a that
You see
definition.
those kids running in the background? Like David, you got kids running in the background.
That definition of a F boy is not what I've heard from women, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Women's explanation of a F boy is typically his self-centeredness in regards to everything regarding everything, right? So that's the problem. Women desiring a man that doesn't desire them back. That's is what considers them an F boy. And typically the F boy is attractive to many other women, and that's what makes him, that's also a part of it. An F boy has multiple options, right? He can go here, there, and there. So what obligation does he have to the individual that wants him? None. That's what makes him selfish in the eyes of her. So most women, whenever speaking on F boys, they're typically talking about people who are sexually active with multiple people and are selfish about their about their sexual activity as well as their emotional. That's the biggest problem with F boys, is not connecting with him or connecting with him emotionally, but him not reciprocating that emotional connection. And that's why they get upset and call him an F boy, because he don't want to stay with me. Well, why would I stay with you if I could have Becky, Marlene, ding ding, a dong dong? Why would I do it?
Carousel.
So let me just you don't even have to have kids to be an F boy. That's the craziest thing about it. You saying spread your seed. You saying spread your seed. It's not about spreading your seed. It's about being sexually liberated as a man.
right. And you
But
know
on
what?
top of what Chicky said, I said it before earlier. The F boy is an upgrade version of a player. And then they got to have a new level, new game. Because before we call them F, but they were player, but somehow they got to the next level whereby they're going way beyond that.
Also known
That's
as
like
a
what it
modern
is.
day male.
Yeah, he's
Because
right.
every
Different
male has
singing
that
levels.
opportunity.
But so if this is the next question I want to ask you guys, going into the next question. Holding the black penis accountable. Should the OGs step up and hold irresponsible men accountable when it comes to being out here skeeting and everything, having sex with everybody?
Well,
Well,
can we talk about
Let me jump on that real quick.
Good
Because
question.
me and Jetty almost had the same mind when you just mentioned that, because we know this very well in our country.
Oh yeah, come on.
We
Talk
call
to him.
accountability.
Talk to him.
When you talk about accountability, the kind of accountability we have back in our country, if I find out you diverting my daughter and she is pregnant, you ain't got two choices. Either you marry my daughter or I chop your leg off. Jetty, did I got it correctly?
Exactly.
But that's
But
not
no,
realistic.
in
That's
our
not
country,
realistic
down
for
and everything.
I
America.
know. In my country,
But
that is
let's talk
no,
about the U.S.
I'm
Because
being
you keep throwing, we can't go chop
They'll do
people's
it here.
legs off. That's
No,
not
Nigerian parents,
realistic.
You can.
Nigerian parents,
You can chop their leg
you
off. You
sleep
go
with a
to jail,
Nigerian
but
girl
you
in
can
this
do
country.
it.
Nah, people ain't out here just chopping people's legs off. That's not
Why
You
not?
real.
sleep with a Nigerian girl
Yeah.
in their country.
I mean, if we,
Parents,
Let's
they
talk
have
about
that same
America.
mindset.
how many
They're not
legs,
playing
how
around.
many legs chop before a nigga stop fucking like a bitch? I mean, like, eventually it would stop.
Cobra Kai up in that bitch. No mercy.
No, I believe that the elders should hold a man's sperm accountable, but not his penis. Like, so we can't. I'm
What
about
the
to
hell?
explain it. I'm about to explain it. Let me break
Look,
it down.
Nate was like, in case I need to be a fuckboy, what did you that? In case we slide back into the wilderness.
Emmanuel
Well, let me
Emmanuel
finish.
made it clear.
That's
He
like
said,
saying
let
let's
him
hold the gas
explore.
station accountable, but not the
No,
patrolman.
for real. I feel like if two, I don't care if you, whatever descent you is, you American, Nigeria, whatever you want to say, if two people, 21 years old, have mutual agreement that they want to have sex, we can't say we're going to hold him accountable for the bad decisions that your daughter made. That is crazy. What I'm saying is, well, we do need to start holding guys accountable. So I don't think it's the penis that we need to hold accountable, but dudes out here who's out here just skeeting and everything, got all these women pregnant, they are a whole nother group of men that we need to hold accountable. So if you out here just letting your semen go, you just letting me go every single one.
But wait a minute, can we keep it like really real though? This this is when it comes down to the human being, this is nobody's fault. There was a day when like being like sexually like molested or whatever was like a super good thing. Like a girl like rubbing up like on your shit, just that's all you really got, like was a rub. There was a day when like you couldn't just go online and order pussy like pizza. And we have to like make room for the fact of what our environment is right now. It wasn't that. It's not that like girls have always been like that smashable, or dudes have always been that much of a slut. Girls wouldn't even allow that. There was a rape problem at one point where men were getting physically aggressive because women weren't giving men what they want. And then after a while, women just started psychologically, subconsciously kind of giving in, saying it was their liberation and it was their freedom, when in actuality they had whole sexual issues and had been violated,
Man,
years
these
before
hoes
we
been
even.
fucking forever,
But
bro.
I mean, I
These
mean,
hoes, they ain't just started
as
fucking.
I
They
mean,
been
it's, I
fucking
mean that,
forever.
I mean, and that it is what it is. There was a point when like sex was not as, it was more glorifiable because it was more like out of like bounds. It was like taboo. What's taboo is normal now. What is taboo is normal, and we can't dismiss that. So it's like really like, how can we call somebody a fuckboy, and how can we call some woman a slut or loose when like we're raising a completely different, like, and I mean, no
Man,
matter how young or old anybody on this dais is, we can all agree that we have seen sex and the perception of it change dramatically in just like 20 years.
but
Well, yeah,
bro,
And
they
you
was
know,
that,
doing
you,
this in
yeah,
private though. Man, you ain't gotta say too much because the look in your eyes, I can
I
tell
can tell
you.
you what,
Bro,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we can't say just 20 years ago it was just people who just having casual sex. The difference now is that it wasn't documented. We can't go back 60 years ago and see it. It was still, the people, women
but
still
it wasn't
getting
accessible either, and it wasn't liberated. It wasn't accessible, it wasn't liberated, and it wasn't normalized. It is normalized now. You
it's
know,
just
you know they make fun
it's
of
just
they make fun of
recording.
virgins in school now. They make fun of 13 and 14-year-old
that's
girls
true.
because they are virgins.
They've been going on since the 80s that I
It's
remember.
been going
And
on forever.
but it wasn't like it was a small clique
Back
of
to the
girls.
future,
You weren't
man.
just gonna
Still the
be like
same
out
thing.
there now. That's the
Yeah,
common. That is the common like
We just see it now
nomenclature.
on social media is what I'm
no,
talking about. I'm
I think
telling
That
these
too.
women,
I think it definitely is more culturally acceptable to be freeing with your body, because there used to be a time where if a young lady got pregnant by a young man, the parents would send them away to a different town completely. They don't do that no more. Now
that's
they throw you a baby shower. So I think it is definitely more culturally acceptable to be more freeing with your body, to sleep around and things like that, and to do whatever you want and be free than it was back in the day. I think there has been a big change and a big difference from
And
before.
I think now we finally have the chance. We're in the period of redefining, just like we're in the period of building like what black culture is. We're in the period of building what sex culture is right now. We've never had the freedom to do the shit that we've been doing right now. We've never had the freedom to actually take a step back from sex. It's always been this thing that for girls you weren't supposed to give it, and for guys you were supposed to get it until you got married. And it's always been kind of a double standard, and it's always
It's
just been kind of flip floppy and wish washy, and it's
But
always
now,
been
Lance,
the
biased.
people don't understand the benefit of abstaining. Like when bro,
That's true.
like
Yes.
I'll be honest with you. My goal is to be like Cheeky. I definitely failed.
You
So
married, bro. I
when
don't know how you can do
but
that.
I'm just saying, when I look at Cheeky, right?
I agree.
Cheeky is 25 years old
I agree.
when he has committed
what my goal.
to not sleeping around and to waiting until marriage, right? And he explained it, he understood what it came with. And that conversation that he had with his dad, and the reason he's doing what he does now, is a conversation that we're not having with young men and young women. And now the new leader of the modern men and modern women is social media, is even like politically politics, all those different things that are moving in the direction of do whatever you want, be whoever you want, and no consequences to your actions. So
right.
I just think people don't understand that.
But all of this ties in together. Like the way that I view sexuality ties into how I view marriage. The way that I view marriage ties into how I view my world perspective. I'm not a Christian, but I do believe in a biblical worldview. Like I believe in those things. So all of those things coincide, which help also make an informed decision. So, for example, the biggest thing about marriage at one point in time was virginity, right? If a girl wasn't a virgin, why would you marry her? But now we're at this point now where if she's not a virgin, it's okay because she's just not a virgin.
Yep.
All right. So the same thing applies with men. Men are being taught on a very large scale that sex is about fulfilling your desires
You'll
sexually.
respond when you're done.
Yeah. So it's this idea that the issue is people don't elaborate on the the multifaceted aspects of sex, how that affects a woman, how that affects a man, the spiritual connection between the two, if you believe in that, the mental, how all of that ties in together, how you can't just have sex with a woman and that's it, and that's just you just do it. No, there's ways, steps, all of those things. She could even
She's
right,
right. She's right.
right. So
Wow,
you
right.
see what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
she's right.
so
Mhm.
everything about marriage was this idea that this pure thing is coming together. But now we have people who have no regard for anything besides themselves and sexual gratification. It's a very selfish. You're asking for two selfish people to come together and be unselfish, which is incredibly stupid. All right, and that's why marriage is always going to fail at this 50% rate because nobody talks about being sacrificing. Right? It's easy, even in the manosphere, for the man get what you can get without paying for things. And when it's time for her to get done, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
and I want to respond what he was saying on that because for me, not only just from Nigerian sense, but also like you said on a biblical sense, there's things called soul ties, right, and things that happen prematurely that not only affects not only the relationship but also the physical and mental space of the human body because it's like you don't even know that even when you broke up with that person and then you don't see them anymore, there still is a level of attachment to a point where it's like you giving almost half almost your identity to somebody where it's like you notice like certain habits that you've been doing that you know that she had now you're doing it and then now this person that's not supposed to be your wife now you're exhibiting traits that you have not really detoxed and be delivered from because you did something prematurely I'm glad that we had this conversation what K Soul was talking about today because like no sex is not a demonic thing the only thing is sex has just been perverted right no and we pervert it as a culture and I could say go to the topics of media with songs and stuff like that today. But not only that, as moving forward, the education from men to children, we don't really have any, I guess, provoking conversation with our sons about what the consequences of sex instead of saying, hey, don't do it, don't ever, I did it, whatever. This whole surface level conversation that actually really is preventing them from actually making decisions and actually almost encouraging them to make the same decision or even worse than what the father did because they're not actually being direct with the child. Or the same thing with mothers to their daughters. Now, like like how many times have you said that mothers talk to their daughters, say, you know what, girl, I'm gonna let you know your mom was a hoe back in college. How many conversations do we have like that? I can tell you none. Right?
Jedi, Jedi, the reason that I don't agree with what you're saying is because every man that I've seen on all these panels say, if I can go back, I'll be a virgin again. But I'm going to keep making these women for the street. I'm going to keep knocking these women down regardless. So I get what you're saying in a perfect world about soul ties and all these different things. But men are still, they're still reacting and doing the same things they was doing in the past. They're not correcting their behavior. They're talking about a future a past. If I can go back and change my past, I'll change it. And I believe it. We made time machines. Every last one to change their mind because
But
they
that
wouldn't have.
goes back. Okay, I'm gonna push back on that because that talks about going to crucifying the flesh. You're moving in a carnal mindset instead of actually, putting away childish thinking. Because you're saying, "Oh, I'm still gonna do anyway, do the same mistake anyway because, well, I still want to knock these boots, or whatever." I'd be careful with the term you saying men. I'm like, it's a more of a grown, male mentality instead of a grown man mentality. So that's why I push back on that because, like, as men, we're have in terms of the seeds that we have to practice self-control, and that takes self-discipline, which is also kind of lacking in our culture. So that's why I push back on what you were saying.
There was
Yeah,
a
there
time.
also
Can I,
has to
can I
be.
say something?
Let me say what.
Uncle Stu got something to say. Go ahead, Uncle Stu.
Yeah. If y'all already said what I'm about to say, then forgive me. First of all, hello to the panel. Appreciate the love that I did get your email. Forgive me for being late. I got some situations going on, so
Oh yeah,
I
cool.
won't be here for a long time with y'all to rock and roll, but I wanted to give you my respect in that regards. I just want to make sure I got clarity before I speak on anything. I understand this is about de-discipline, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And I understand this is more about, is it more about men not having de-discipline or the understanding of why we need de-discipline?
Well, we need de-discipline, and do the OGs like yourself need to step up and hold these men accountable that's throwing the penis from the free throw line?
Okay. Yes, absolutely so. Ironically, this is also going to be a major topic that I'm going to deal with on my platform. I need you to understand that I don't know if everybody is really on a lot of grown men platforms, meaning 45 and up versus the 35 and under. All of us that's over that 45 mark, and I can give you 3 names right now, we're all talking about the de-discipline. So let's get for me, the proper understanding. One of the things we have to understand is this terminology called imprinting. What is imprinting? Imprinting means that you've been imprinted. Now, what everybody also needs to understand, I don't care if you're a Christian, a Muslim, any type of spiritual understanding, the real meaning behind marriage is a sexual commitment. So every time we have laid down with a woman, we have made a contractual commitment to that woman. So the imprinting came because if you understand virginity and the breaking of that, right? Now I'm gonna take it from a Christian perspective. When a man and a woman gets married, you are not married until you have a sexual relation, right? So once that relationship is consummated, it is considered a contractual commitment to each other. And what is she doing? She is the blood covenant. So once she has committed that blood covenant, you are legally and spiritually and mentally connected to that woman. What I think the new terminology, you define it as soul ties. Now, if men don't believe in soul ties, then my argument is simply this. Why do you have a red pill community? Why? Because they became emotionally tied to women that they was dealing with. And when that brokenness came, it is because if I don't love you or have feelings for you, then nothing you do will ever hurt me. But if I was connected to you and that brokenness came, then I'm going to feel that pain. Why is it that men do not have de-discipline? Because what we as men must understand is this: sex don't make you a man, and there is nothing that sex can do that would make you a man. And the problem is that we have defined sex with manhood. We have defined sex with love. We have defined sex by other terminologies that we should not be defining sex as. And so if you want, I can't speak for the manosphere. I can only speak for men that is willing to listen, to understand, and to have the discipline to understand. My argument of this going back, no, I can't go back. But what I can do is say, let me tell you where my undiscipline got me. It led me to being a single parent. It led me to doing this. It led to that. It led to this. Therefore, let us not do what I made the mistakes in doing, because the grace on my life may not be the grace on your life. You mess around and have a child, your black behind is in child support court for the rest of your life because you didn't have no discipline. You may mess around and have children that you claim was an accident. No child is an accident. You're not in a fit position. Now, when I was growing up, no, there was certain moves you had to make. But we have to be able to explain and educate to men about having that discipline. Just as much as we can tell a woman no, so can we say no. No, I don't want to lay down with you. No, I don't want to be with this type of a woman. No, I'm not going to give you my body, because in making that contract, guess what? I put all my resources, in a situation that is out of control. And I understand that this type of a conversation is a hard conversation. Why? Because we're always going to find justification for something we do wrong, instead of taking the right road and saying, in spite of what everybody is doing, I'm going to stand up and do the right thing. And yes, it's not going to be popular. Doing right is not popular. And when you recognize doing right is not popular, then you might be doing the most popular thing in your life. Being right ain't always good. Standing up and saying, I want to go back and be whole. I want to go back and learn. I want to go back and be a man. I want to go back and study. I want to go back and do this. It's not going to be popular if you're surrounded by people who, don't understand what you're doing, don't like what you're doing. And if we're going to use a biblical sense, what does it say? Men hate the light. So there's no way in the world that if all my boys is doing drugs, chasing cool yang, doing this, and all of a sudden I say, you know what, I don't want to do that. I'm going to go and study. I'm going to get some books. I'm going to read. Guess what? They don't want to hear me. So they're going to call me every name in the book to try to re-socialize me back into that negative environment. I think I'm not looking at what other men are doing on their platforms, why they making excuses, none of that stuff. I am going to focus on me getting right. And then I show the results of what I am doing.
So, Uncle Stu, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
All right. So I totally agree that men should have penis discipline or discipline, right?
Yes, sir.
That's not the argument that we're saying. The argument of what I'm proposing is this right here: is a man should not be out here sleeping with anybody, but a man does not have to be a virgin. I believe that a man can actually have a partner. He can sleep with that partner. And if that's the choice he decided to make in his life, that's completely on him. I get that everybody's trying to say everybody should be virgins. I believe that men should have that right, and who can tell them? So my question to you is, do you feel like you can kind of dictate what he do in his life just because of your past mistakes, or do you feel like this way is the only way, even though nobody's taking this path?
First of all, I don't worry about what path no one else's take. Second, you took a terminology totally to the left. Virginity means I have never had sex. But discipline means I may have had sex, but I choose for me and in my life no longer to just be frugal with my D and run around doing what I used to do. So we all have the ability to change. Now, you also brought up this idea of just a man doing whatever. Let me shift this. Let me go to Chi. The reason I'm going to him is because, number one, the beauty I love about him is his outright, unapologetic truth telling about who he is.
Yeah.
Okay? Unapologetic. Now, what is his unapologetic? This is who I am. This is what I am. And I'm giving you the ultimate choice to deal with who I really am. Unapologetic. For some women, that is the most craziest thing. And for most dudes, that is crazy. But in reality, that is the most boldest statement you can make because he's unapologetic. Now, what do I mean by unapologetic? Does it mean he's right in everything he do? No. But at least he acknowledges who he is, and he's acknowledging what he is. Here's where we make the mistake. We are some unapologetic men lying to women, talking about we're gonna have a relationship with them, and we're doing that. We are sitting around here justifying what cannot be justified. See, I said to you, discipline first comes from me. You have to see it represented on me, and what I am, a results-driven individual. And I think what we try to do is find excuses for our own lack of self-discipline. And that's why I said being right doesn't always mean everybody around me is right. Can I look in that mirror and be right and do right? Period.
But Uncle Stu, I'm saying that just in my experience and the guys that I talk to, they're not out here lying to women talking about they want a relationship, this, that, and third. They say, hey, I'm focusing on me and I want to have sex in this process. And I feel like if a man is being transparent with the woman and tell her what it is, if she chooses to be able to interact with that person, we can't then say it's the man's fault because he chose to do this. Now, I do believe that he should be able to control his semen. He should be out here making babies with everything. I think men, we control when the baby is made. Like, we know when we get that tinkle feeling and we about to come and all that stuff. We know if we don't have a condom on, we should know she's on birth control. So I'm not talking about from the childbirth point of view, but if I choose it, I want to participate in sexual activities, and I'm not out here sleeping with everybody. I choose that partner. I vetted that partner, and that's who I want to do. I don't
That's
see
problematic.
Carnal.
This is what I'm going to say to you, Mr. Williams.
That is
Then
so
I'm going
problematic.
to give Sir Hale. I'm going to do one of these Pastor Mics.
Come on.
Then,
That's very
as
problematic.
far as I'm concerned,
Take my jacket off.
based on what you just said, then when that woman do whatever she need to do to you because you chose it, don't come to nobody's platform trying to talk about that particular woman, because we say you reap what you sow. And I think it's time for black men to stop trying to find justification. Again, I'm not here to tell you what to do, what not to do. What I am here to do, and the purpose of me coming, was to try to teach any young man on this panel and anybody in this chat, here's the right way. Here is the consequences of your actions. Here are some of the examples of men that didn't have discipline and what their consequences is. So if you choose after you come off this panel to go get you some, I can't stop you. But I will say, if I can get Jedi Mike to stop, if I can get Aaron to stop, if I can get K Soul to stop, if I can help, Canadian Born is married, but if I can get these and Cheeky to stop or think or realize a different way of living, because sometimes some men has never been seen or shown another way. So for me, it is my job to say, hey, there is another way. Hey, there is another way to manhood other than I got to have. Because see, at the end of the day, here's my question to you. Are you that unloving to yourself?
Uh-oh.
That you need someone else? When was the last time you spent time alone? Loving you. Taking time to love you in such a manner you don't need a woman. My brother, you ain't talking to somebody that has not. I've been in the place where I didn't want to be alone, so I did whatever I had to do not to be alone, even if it meant being with a trifling woman. But my brother, there came a time for me to learn to be alone, where I can be alone. I don't need a woman to make me happy. I can be sitting right here reading a book and be the happiest man alive. And what I'm seeing is a man who says, I'm not comfortable to be alone. So I'm asking you, what is the real in-depthness that's going on in the side of you that you can't even be alone?
Well, let me be clear. I'm married, so I got a wife.
Hey, and I'm a
I want to make sure I put that out there.
You don't got to worry about me.
So why are we even having that conversation with a married man?
Listen, because the platform is for us to be able to talk about the whole thing. And the one thing that I'm saying is, before I got married, I decided I wanted to experience having sex. And I personally feel that it was nothing wrong with that. I wasn't out here just beating everybody down. And it wasn't that I didn't want to be alone. I chose that that's something that I wanted to do.
But wouldn't you say to a man that the best woman to be with, to have sexual relationships, sexual exploits with, sexual experimentation with, is the one he's married to?
I get that might be the ultimate goal, but I do believe that men should figure out who they is and have sex way before they get married. That's my opinion.
What do you mean figure out who he is?
Wow.
When
Why are
did
you
sex
having
become
sex
the
and you
meaning
don't know
of
who you
knowing
are?
who you are and your identity? When did sex
Become your
me
identity.
any theoretical book, any sex book, any religious book that says sex gives me my identity?
So no, what I'm saying is that as I was finding out who I was having sex, and I personally am not ashamed of anything that I went through. I think it made me into a great man today. And I think I get it. We can get in these echo chambers because I done seen it. Like, we get on these platforms and they say, "Oh, this is the way, this is the way," and nobody really fought. Like, I get it, Cheeky maybe. Cheeky's falling the way, but the rest of these guys still making these girls from the streets. So I get it. We can say, I believe that regardless if I have sex or I don't have sex, it doesn't make me a man, but I still have the right to make that choice. You can't take that choice away from just because somebody else.
It's not. I don't think.
I'm gonna pass the mic to Sir Hale.
I don't think it's about
my
having
mic to Sir Hale. Let me
go
let me
ahead,
let
Sir
him
Hale.
get in on this conversation.
I rebuke.
Somebody said they rebuke. What's up, gentlemen? How are you?
What's up, Sir Hal? Sir Hal?
Hey, what's up, guys? Can you hear me?
What up?
Oh,
Yes,
hold
sir.
on, Sir
What up,
Hale.
what up?
Hold on.
Uncle
If I don't give
Stu.
honor where honor is due. Thank you, sir.
Uncle Stu, salute, sir.
Salute to you, Sister Hale. Salute.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my wife in there. Yeah, that's my wife when we were virgins when we married.
Wow.
Yeah, virgins when we married.
Chicky,
I
you
found
hear that?
myself with
Chicky.
my wife.
You hear that, Chicky?
Yeah, how old is he though?
My wife, we got married at she was 21. I was 19.
Y'all leave Cheeky alone, all right?
Hey, y'all, I was just thinking about something about that we were talking about. About now. Listen, what's the language we can use? Do I have to kind of filter this, or can we just say it as it is?
Unfiltered.
No, sir. Black man unfiltered, man.
Unfiltered, baby.
The thing about dick discipline is a short-term victory. It's just a short-term victory. You get you some of that cat, you get you a woman, and you get to conquer real quickly. E-Man, what's up, brother? Yep, you get a chance to you get a chance to conquer something real quick. And I've noticed that a lot of guys, it depends on your perspective about, but I've noticed that a lot of guys, I've seen it in their 20s, they'll smash everybody, got stories for you for days, and they don't really got nothing going on in their life because they spend a lot of their energy giving that away to women that didn't serve a purpose in their life. And from a biblical perspective, it talks about to their men not to let your streams be in the streets, right? That's in there. And this is from Solomon, who is known to have, what was it, about 1,000 wives and 300 concubines, right? Yeah. So this gentleman who had this sexual excursion, it ain't just no regular chicks. He the best of the best, and his wisdom that he gives us is to make sure that we don't give strength to women who are not our wives. And I think that we oftentimes say, I've got to do this to myself, and then based off of the decisions we make, we create a narrative to teach other people as if our experience, just because we had it, it's the right thing. And I think we got to talk to men with experience, that you ain't got to be out there with everything and singing your lane to figure out who you are. There's never been once that I've been getting some, and I'm like, you know what? I think I figured out who I am. I think I know who I am. It has never happened. Matter of fact, I wasn't even thinking about who I am. Matter of fact, if it's right, you lose a little bit of consciousness, right? So I think we got to be real about the stuff that we're saying and exercise some discipline, because sex is really important. And as part of the community, the way that I see this is I don't want to be sleeping with somebody else's potential wife. That's how deep this thing goes. Like if she's not going to be my girl, I don't want some other brother who is going to marry her to be worried about her past because I've tampered with somebody else's gift. Now he's going to make her that she's going to be his entire world. He's going to give her the ring. He's going to be willing to lay his life down for her. I don't want to take something so special from her, knowing that I'm not going to be with her. So out of respect for my brothers, those that I know and I don't know, I'm going to exercise some discipline, because that's how I would want somebody to preserve it if it was my wife. And so I think it's deeper. We think about ourselves. We think about how big our butt is and about our feel. And we don't think about the larger context of this. And I think if we do that, if we start thinking that that's somebody else's wife, that's somebody else's wife. Now, let's be for real. We know how it feels when our wives got a past or she's done some things. And we want to know, did we measure up? Was he bigger than I am? Was he better than me? What did he do to you? Did he do everything? We get our own concerns. And I think a lot of the ways that we can avoid this is have respect to the brothers we know and don't know, that if you're not going to be my wife, then I can't give you this blessing. You understand what I'm saying? I think we got to have that respect. And because we don't, we sit with anything and then we want to find a virgin.
Right.
Like,
and I'm
going to get what you gave.
And I'm just going to add on to that. Then
undervalue doesn't know value, doesn't know how to create value. That's leadership. Knowing how to create value in yourself, knowing how to create value in the person who's trying to devalue themselves, to be able to stop and show that discernment and be like. And to that, I wanted to ask you a very poignant question. I think, because I have a theory that men have the power to change women and to change the world just by not engaging in sexual activity, or actually looking at a woman and actually just being like, yeah, you deserve better than that. I want to ask you, are you friends with all of the people that you of every woman that you have refused to have sex with, those who have had enough character to continue to engage in a deeper and meaningful relation with you?
Who are you asking that question of?
To Cheeky. But I do want to ask to Sir Hale as well.
Okay, before you answer that, Sir Hale. Okay, before you answer that.
Hell no!
Yeah,
Lord.
Before you answer that, well, he already answered it. Let me just say this, because I'm gonna get ready to get off this particular panel, but I'm gonna definitely catch it on the live stream tomorrow morning. Lance, to answer your question, no, I'm not a friend. I don't even know what these women are, but to also bring context to this. A lot of the knowledge that I have today, I didn't grow up in no church. So I didn't have a lot of this so-called knowledge in high school. If I had a lot of this knowledge in high school, I wouldn't have did a lot of things. Now, was I out here slamming every single chick? No, I wasn't. But the reality is, if I would have had a better contextual understanding of sexuality, then that I do now, yes. If you know better, you do better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's how I look at it. So I still don't run around blaming men for their lack of discipline when a lot of men never got real education in this whole ideal. So for those men that got that education, they knew better, they did better. For a lot of other men, they didn't know better. For some men, sex was a proving of love. For others, it was, oh, okay, I'm a man if I can knock down all these women. For others, it was an experiment. Guess what? It felt good and they just kept on doing it. So, the reality is, if we know better, we'll do better. So that's why I don't run around beating up men who don't have the discipline now, because do they really know better? Yes. And if I'm around a bunch of people that don't know any better, I'm thinking I'm doing what everybody is doing. So we all in this together. Pathology breeds pathology. And that's why
I don't
I
think
say,
people understand the psychology behind it either. It's like I like to compare it to tithing. Like, people like to believe that if they tithe, a certain percentage, they're gonna get back what they're gonna get. And most of the time, what they will find out is that they are right. They do get back. They start to see an increase in certain areas in their life that they wouldn't necessarily see before. But they forget that they are actually practicing the discipline of saving money, of counting money beforehand, of praying over money, of actually putting a positive energy towards and a positive effort and a positive like due diligence towards that money. So even though that it seems miraculous that things are starting to improve in your life because you are tithing, it is because of several other acts that it takes to do tithing that has increased the value of you as a whole and the value of your life as a whole. And sometimes it's just because you just finally started learning how to save.
well,
Like
not
the
only
blessing,
that,
the blessing.
but I always say, what is the example being laid out before you?
Exactly.
Because if you've never been overseas and you've never traveled outside the United States, or if you've never traveled outside of your block or city, you don't know that there's a whole new world out there, a whole new culture. And once you've been expanded and seen different things, it expands your mind and it expands your understanding. It expands your horizon. So if I've never seen a man who's had deep discipline, then I don't know what that is. If I've never seen on any platform anybody explain sex, then I don't have a full comprehension of it. You see what I'm saying? If you don't know the success of a Sir Hale Speaks and his wife, then how do you know what a marriage look like if you've never seen it? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
If you've never been to a college and know what they do in college, and then all of a sudden Jedi Mike says, well, I got to do a 10-page paper, but you only know about doing a book report. Y'all on two totally different levels. You understand what I'm saying? If you don't know what it means to run a podcast and do this and do that, it's a different beast trying to do a podcast than be a somebody on a panel, or even worse, somebody in the chat. It's easy to say, well, man, y'all should be doing it like this, when they don't even know how to run something. So unless you know better, you won't do better. But I hate to leave this panel, but I got to run, and but I'm a definitely catch it.
Before you go, I want to ask you though, where do you look for better when it comes to sex without having it?
Oh,
you said ask the question one more time.
Where do you look for better? You say you know better, you do better. Where do you look for better, for guidance on sex without having sex? Because I think that's one of the problems, is that people feel like the only education of sex is going through sex. And
yeah, have sex with your wife.
You think it should be an experience that shouldn't be talked about or shouldn't be educated on any type of level? I mean, where do you go? What if I were to tell a young kid how about sex right now? Where would I guide them to? What would I say to them to go look for sources if they feel like their parents aren't a good source, or if they don't have the parents, or if their parents aren't the source, and I know that their parents aren't the source for sex? Where do you go?
Books is out here. I've rarely heard anybody that stands up in the cloth, no matter what the religion, that would be glad to teach that topic. You can click this panel that's teaching that topic. Exactly. So there's multiples of resources.
I got one as well. Can I let you guys know?
Sure.
Sir Hale Speaks. Got plenty of educational videos on there if you guys need that. Shameless plug.
Okay, I heard that.
Yeah,
and,
I don't think a lot of young people know about that though. I don't think a lot of young people
remember. And Lance, I was trying to be nice, see. But since
there's a book out there that I know about that.
I think you know the platform to go to.
But there's a book I know. It's an old school book. It's called Mastermind Men.
So either they could go down south or they could come to the East Coast. But either way it go, you're gonna get it. Just like there's somebody in this panel. He don't know, there's a whole crew of people waiting on him to come back home.
I'll be back home on the 19th.
Talking about he a daddy neither.
Well, I'm back on 19th.
Oh, Uncle Stu, you in VA too?
Huh?
You're in VA too?
757, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I'm down
Going
here
back on
near
the 19th.
Jedi Mike.
Oh, you a Jedi Mike?
Yeah, I'm near. I live near where he is.
Yeah, he's alma mater to my school. Like he graduated in the university I'm in right now, Mason.
Okay, all right. So that means I should be seeing you soon too.
But
See, you should have told him, Jedi.
Yeah.
Make sure you got my number.
And you know,
I just texted you. No, I just texted you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be back the 19th. But yeah, I'll be back for a week. But I already planned out the week so I can come see y'all. But, yeah.
And so my,
make sure K-Soul can reach me too.
The guy's number 2. Don't worry. You
Okay.
get it.
All right. So my last question for the day, man, for you guys, because this has been a great conversation. I'm just sitting over here, just taking notes and listening to you guys. But the last question of the day is this one: knowing what you know now as men, should we have waited until marriage to have sex, and should we teach our sons also to wait until marriage to have sex? We're
I'm gonna say yes, and then I'm coming off the panel.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yes. That's our shortest answer. Yes.
Uncle Stu.
I was split that one in half.
I would say that too, yes, because I'm doing it right now with my own son. Because let's put it like this: there was a time I was doing D discipline for like a whole entire year. I was lifting weight, working out. I stay away from a lot of women for that reason. And I know how hard it is to someone who did it before and trying to retrain themselves. What I try to do is take myself out of every situation. So to do a whole year avoiding women, throw myself in the gym, working out between 4 to 6 hours a day, at night, in the daytime, in my studies. It wasn't that easy. What I try to do is stay away from people because let's be real. It's like saying crack cocaine. When you had crack cocaine for the first time and trying to stay away, it's like a withdrawal issue. So we want to do it, prevent yourself being any type of situation. So what I do is cut out women, I cut out the crowds, I keep to myself. I was a hermit. I didn't care. It was my studies and the gym for a whole entire year during my early 20s. It wasn't that easy, but it was able to be done. It's just that I got caught. How would I say I got caught? 1 week moment, I'm by myself. I see a couple of girls around me. They're trying to get my attention. I tried to avoid them. I got put into a corner. Come on. That was a mess up. I don't have a circle of guys to help me with that situation. Well, I think that was the problem with young people today. They don't have people they can go to, can talk to, and say, well, what can I do because of X, Y, Z? How would I do with that issue? I was by myself. I was a loner. I didn't have no one to talk to, so I was able to last a whole year before I messed up all over again. It's possible, just that you need the right people around you. Like they say, he who surrounds himself with wise people will be wise, but he who surrounds himself with fools will be destroyed. So hell, you know what I'm talking about. You know where that coming from. 12:13. So I'm not gonna just. I'm not gonna go into that. But other than that, it's possible. The problem is, we need to be meditating. No, let's change the narrative. Let's teach our young boys. It's not cool to give it away that easy because I'll be real. I know about so touched the young kids living in Nigeria for 7 years, but the problem is, come back to this country, into this culture, I got caught. If I was still back in Nigeria, I would have been a virgin in my 30s if I would have married, to be honest with you. It's not abnormal to see a bunch of guys who are virgin. You know, a lot of guys in Africa who are virgin, they're not married because they were taught that value. They were taught that it's sacred. There's so much more to it. And there was some that didn't even care. There are a lot of girls in my country that are virgin. There are a lot of guys in my country that are virgin. It's just that they were focused at a goal. The problem is they didn't celebrate, but now it seems like it's about to be almost similar to America, but back then that wasn't the case. It's just that other third countries are copying America, what they see on TV. Remember I talked about that a few podcasts ago. The media projects certain things. If you can keep the media from people's eye socket, maybe you have a chance. But now it's on your phone. It's on your tablet. You can get it anywhere. You get it on your Xbox. You get it on your PlayStation, whatever. The problem is you have to change that now. You have to have different programs to keep them out of. I don't know. Either you have different programs. The church has to step up. I hate to say the church really needs to step up. To be honest with you, if you have a bunch of church in the community.
I think that we are though. Like as a society, I think that we're starting to build this value. Like I said, this is very new for us. Sex has never been so free as it is now. It just hasn't. And I think we're building that value. I think there's a lot of people that are choosing to abstain. I think that people like Cheeky are the minority now, but I don't think that's going to be like that for long. And I say for long, probably like in the next 50 years, people are starting to build their value. They're starting to see exactly where they stand and they get the opportunity to choose it. I think that's the best part about this overexposure. Even though it desensitized sex, it desensitized the value that people put on it too. I see people who like swipe left and right and they actually looking for relationships. They're just like, nah, she seems too ready. I don't know about that, or I don't know. He seems like down for it. He's talking about he down the street kind of type shit. And I think that we're starting to build as a so I don't know, like I would say that more so than teaching that marriage is valuable, just teaching people that themselves are valuable. I think things will take a natural tide, and I think things are taking a natural tide. I think people are seeing the media blasphemy for what it is, for the farce that it is, and for the just the straight up lie that it's always been. I mean, this is not new. It was always framed a different way so we can accept it. It was just always framed right, so it was always acceptable. And I think the more accepting that we get, like any other idea that media puts out there, the more desensitized we become to it. And I think that we're finally getting to a point now where people are like, wait a minute, like I'm a dude, like yeah, I can go and I can do this, but I don't really want to. Like I do want some. I just don't think they know. Like I said, like you said, they don't have the guidance. And I think it's just a lot harder in just that manner. And I think that it's a guidance we're building because I don't think any older gentleman was prepared to try to teach their sons how to divvy between the lake of fucking vagina. Like, I don't think that I can say that like 30 years ago, I don't think anybody foresaw sex being this easy, this accessible. Like it's literally on a shelf. It is literally on a shelf now. Ourselves
I would
and
have
our
to stop you.
compatible.
I would have to stop you on that because this is back in 2000. I had an old school gentleman who told me in my face when I was in job corps. You know what he told me? He
Oh
said,
shit.
"Your generation and the generation after you is screwed." And I was like, "Why you say that?" He said, "You guys do not realize you go to school everything from not from your generation, but for the next 10 generations. Because you'll make it seem so bad that people will repeat what you do, but make it even worse." I said, "Explain to me. You have all you guys trying to sleep around, bound from one girl to another, to another, to another, to another. You ain't trying to chill with one. Let that one marinate. But you got two
Let that one
star.
marinate.
Then y'all popping up
Let me
baby
let me
mama
let me
left and
let me
right."
chime in on that one,
I
Kennedy.
like that one. Let that
Yeah,
one
let me chime in
marinate.
on that though. So, so we said we didn't give guidance. Part of the reason why this is because in that same age we see that a lot of men who did chill and wait for that one woman ain't getting sex regularly, once or twice a month. So I did all of this preparation to to stay married, and I'm getting it once a month, and then it ain't even. She just laying there on her back like she dead, and and I feel bad for getting it because I need to get this off, and I can't go cheat. And I'm trying to get. I'm only getting it once or twice a month, and only one of them times is good. She don't.
Real issues.
She not
Real
busting it
issues.
down on me. She not giving me
Okay.
no head. She not throwing that stuff back.
Woo,
So
Casper.
if we're gonna talk real about this stuff, let's be for real about this,
Yeah, let's be
right?
real. Come on.
So we're telling guys, I want you to wait, but we also have to give our the women some guidance as well. Ladies, if you got a man, bust it open. Listen to me as much as you can. I'm telling you what to do. When you get married, make sure that you make it available, that you guys make it special, because too many people spiritualize sex. We spiritualize marriage, and we forget the practical part that makes it beautiful. What makes a marriage beautiful is when you two can come together and you can enjoy each other's body. He can enjoy you. You can discover him. You guys can figure out what you guys like. Now you might be saying, well, here we go. Let's get real for a second. He may be saying, man, she weighs a little bit too much, or, I don't like the way that this is. Well, you guys can go to the gym and work stuff out. She might be saying, well, you know what? He's not big enough for me. intimate. He doesn't have the right size. Well, there's toys for that. You got to figure out what it takes for you to make that part of your relationship special. And sex should not be something that you ration out as if you guys are helpless and it's the end of the world. Sex should be something you guys look forward to. And if you don't like it, schedule it in to make sure you make it happen. But by all means, do wait all of this time to get married to try to do things the right way, only to be giving him some once or twice a month. You spend more time on Facebook than you do thinking about foreplay. You spend more time going to church than you have sex with him. You go to Bible study more times than you have sex with him. It should not be that, particularly as believers, we go to church more we're having sex unless there's a medical condition. So ladies, I'm giving you guidance. Bust it open. When you were married, that's the time for you, when you wanted to shake your butt and be on a stripper pole, be a stripper in your home, be a hoe in your bedroom, but be that for that man and make sex special. I'm telling you, when you do this, we build a bond and it makes sex worth it. All right, I'm done.
He said he don't. Hey, mine, hey, if you dance on that phone, that don't make you a hoe.
Be a hoe in your bedroom.
Okay.
Hey, Sir Hal,
fellas, am I wrong?
No, you said something. You said something super real about the foreplay, and I always say when I'm talking to my other like married boys and things like that, I'm like, it starts at the beginning of the day a lot of the time.
Yes, it does. Speak on it.
You're doing that thing all day, and then the payoff comes at the end. You know what I'm saying? Like it's. Man,
text me as you leaving out the door. You know what I wanted to do, right? That's all right, though.
I am down right now. I'm just like,
I work early for that.
Foreplay works both ways, y'all. We often think that it's just about women. Foreplay is like when your man is leaving for the door, and listen, ladies. I'm gonna give y'all. This is Black Man Filter. This is for your conference. But we're gonna get this out free tonight. We're gonna get a little goodie bag. Ladies, when your man is leaving the door and you walk behind him and you slightly put your hands on his upper back shoulders and you whisper something in his ear, something encouragement and special, and give him a kiss on his cheek and say, "Baby, I got your back." That's foreplay. It shows that I got you covered. I'm telling you, ladies, it's simple things. It's a man's foreplay is to know, baby, she got my back and she appreciates me. Fellas, you want to give a woman a foreplay every now and again, you ought to tap that backside and say, "Baby, I love you and I got you. Is there anything that you need? I ordered lunch for you already. All you got to do is go pick it up." And we be kind to each other throughout the day, and we try to figure out ways to it's got to be sexy. So I'm gonna send you a text message. I know you out the office, and I'm gonna tell you I can't wait to come see you because I'm looking forward to the time we're gonna spend together. We got to get back to the place where we don't make this complicated. Foreplay is simply figuring out the love language of the person that you're with, and then giving them what they want. And I know some of you are like, you know what? I got these kids. I'm tired. I'm stressed out. For a lot of you ladies on here, sometimes you go through changes emotionally where you don't feel good about yourself. But even the communication is foreplay. The fact that you guys can be open and honest and you can say, "Husband, this is what I'm feeling. I'm not feeling pretty." And then you give him an opportunity to come to you and say, "Baby, you're the finest thing I've ever seen in my life." Yeah. It will go from that conversation, you guys hugging and showing appreciation, showing that I see you stressed out, that I see something's bothering you, or you're saying with him, "I see you working hard and I see you stressed out. I see the wrinkles in your head," and you go kiss his forehead, or you see her feeling some type of way and you rub your fingers through her hair. It's the little things. It's noticing one another. It's being patient with one another. It's communication. Foreplay doesn't start as sex, but it should dang well end with some sex. We got to get back to foreplay. Give the man what he wants. Show him that you see him, and brother, show her that you see her too. And when we do that, let's make an explosion at the evening time. Now, you've said I got little kids. You got little kids, get them to bed early. Make sure y'all got a whole hour to do what y'all got to do. Drink a Red Bull, get you some coffee, and get to work.
Come on, let's make love tonight. Hey, come on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fellas, did I get it wrong?
What's that Lattimore say? That Lattimore said, "Sit yourself down, girl, and talk to me." Well, let's straighten it out.
Yeah.
You got to talk about that thing. Don't walk around all sad shit.
Naked.
Yeah, and even Dia, Hugo said that in one of his.
I'm out at the gym now.
Dia Hugo said that in one of his stand-ups. He told his wife that. He said, "Hey, listen, you got to come on with the sex." He said, be that hoe you was before I met you.
And black man, can I say something else? Can we take this a deeper, another
go
notch?
Ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, guys, it's men on here. All right, y'all, let's go there. A lot of black man, you sure?
I'm hell yeah, go.
All right.
I think I know where
All
you're
right.
going.
A lot of us guys, we don't know what we're doing. So as soon as we get with her, we go straight, stick it in. We just, we're gonna stick it right in. You can't. You gotta listen. You gotta take some time. Let her get a bath. Put some candles out there. Let her relax. All right, let's go deeper, y'all. You with the way that a woman's body is, there are hot spots on her. You got to figure out what her trigger points are. Sometimes that's going to be you caressing with your hands. Sometimes it's going to be you caressing with your mouth, with your lips. You got to figure a way to make sure that it's not about you getting your rocks off. It's about you guys joining together, having an experience where both of you find a level of closeness, a level of sexual tension, and then a level of intimate release. You got to figure out the hot spots. You got to figure out what makes her tingle. You got to figure out how to touch her correctly, how to kiss her correctly, how to make her feel sexy. Because when you make a woman feel sexy, I'm telling y'all, see, some of y'all not able to freak out of her because you don't know how to make her feel sexy. Figure out what her trigger points are. She'll give you what you need. It's the same thing for the men, ladies. Ladies, let's get to it. A lot of ladies want head but won't give head. And so now it's an issue. Now you so safe. Now when you get into that bedroom, I need you to take the first lady hat off, and I need you to put on Sasha Fierce. Give that man what he wants. Figure out what turns him on. Figure out what he likes as well. And make sure that you're not just getting what you want, that you're coming 2 or 3 times. He gotta get that one. Figure that man out too. Pleasure each other. I'm telling you, it'll be fun for you, and you guys will be closer together. Fellas, did I get it wrong on this one?
Except for the fact that they don't know nothing about some bodies.
Only if you got a wife.
They think that somebody else is already supposed to come equipped with that manual. It was just like having a baby. They think just because they had a baby that they supposed to know how to be a mother.
Took the notes.
I'm telling you.
Classes in session. Come on.
Look.
I'm on university grounds. Classes
at the bottom of the screen,
not
sir.
The sex doctor speaks. Not the sex doctor speaks. Don't
read the screen at the bottom.
No, that's past the love. That's past the love. Past the passion.
Listen, we be in church all the time, right? And I can't stand people who be giving this. You just got to make sure, you got to make you're supposed to figure this thing out. And I hate we be busting it out in the world, and then when we get to church, suddenly we all confined. No, get up,
lay down and unfeed myself. I give you.
I got a meeting in my prayer room.
And listen, there's a myth that you multiple women who have multiple experiences, and that ain't true. Like you can have one person and keep on figuring each other out. I'm gonna tell you the trick: change the scenery. I'm trying to tell y'all, change the scenery. Now I can't let y'all into my own personal life, but we switch the scenery. When you switch the scenery, it makes a big difference.
You talking like a station wagon?
You got to. You got to do what you got to do, my brother. Listen, I'm not saying what I did. I'm just saying that. I'm not saying what we did. And there's outdoors. I'm just saying there's restaurants. Sometimes I'm saying you got to do what you got to do and keep it hot, spicy between you two. And I think what we do is it's not fun no more. We just do that one missionary style, or we do doggy style, and that's it. It's so much more to learn.
Unpredictability. You gotta keep
Lance
that
said it correct.
guessing.
I'm done.
Say, who did what?
I plead the fifth.
Most women aren't reaching orgasms, and the reason why a lot of women aren't reaching orgasm is because a lot of men think that women can achieve that by penetration only, and a lot of times, no, you got to stimulate that. You got to stimulate all right. We got to stimulate. I don't know how deep we can go, but you got to stimulate that clitoris. You got to stimulate that clitoris, and it's not just rubbing it for a few minutes. Listen, you have to caress it, spend time on it. It will warm up. You spend time. Sometimes it's your touch. Sometimes it's hot spots on the upper body. You got to figure that out and take time with that. take time with that. And when you do that, not only will she orgasm once, it's one thing to have a clitoris orgasm. It's another thing to have a full body one. And you don't achieve that if you don't warm it up, touching those hot, making sure the rest of the body and reaching that. Listen, I'm not saying I'm a professional, but I'm just saying a brother know what he's doing.
Remember what I talked about it on Town podcast? And Town called me on spot. Remember?
Yeah, I remember the movie. Look, did y'all ever see the movie 30 Days and 30 Nights? Old white boy Josh Hartnett. He said he was gonna keep himself a virgin for 30 days and 30 nights. He made that girl come with a little petal on the flower and graze her whole body. That's a real thing.
Hey, you know what?
I'm telling you, as a gay man who's been with women, that is a real thing. There is more erogenous vagina.
If you watch Lapeef the other night, Island Gal said,
Don't talk to it.
She said there is a way that she can give a massage without any intercourse whatsoever and make a man just come all over himself.
Of course, the energy.
Yeah, but remember, I said the same exact thing too. I got
you sure did.
Anton will call me out for that. Jerry, remember that too.
Hey, Sir Hal, a lot of
Hal speak saying the same thing I was saying. Now,
but
what that make me that?
A lot of people don't even know that the clitoris extends beyond just that little.
It
you know what I'm
transforms.
saying? Matter of fact, when you play with that thing, it kind of extends and it closes into where when you have missionary sex, it feels even better because of the walls of the clitoris that come close together, and it stimulates a lot more. I know those
Let me let me let you know a little something. There's a guy who was in college.
Both parts of the body.
It is. There's a guy who was in college.
Oh,
a weird friend of mine told me to go to Barnes & Noble and look up Kama Sutra.
That's
and listen, that's some deep stuff. And that's a different level.
I read that book. That's a different level. And I kept that to myself. So you wonder why I learned a lot of things by experimenting.
What book is that? What you say, Will?
That Kama Sutra.
Come on, black man said, let me go get that. Let me go grab that book.
I'm just trying to hear what he said. Go.
I will say it again. Go to Barnes & Noble.
Black man, hold on. Let me get that. Hold on. What's that again?
You look up is
send me the barcode.
Once you get that, there are a couple of other books that follow.
Don't you go to Barnes & Noble and get that. You better go on Kindle. You better not go to Barnes & Noble and get that.
Trust me. There was that book.
No, Lance is right from that price.
Along with it.
Lance is absolutely
right.
What I
did throughout my 20 with the experiment, that's how I knew what to do. Not a lot of people know about that. There's a thing called the aftershock. There's a thing called the aftershock. You know what that means. This happened 5-10 minutes after.
It's Electro, Jamie Foxx.
He read it for real, and I'm telling you, he read it for real.
But let me give you something even deeper. When she knows what you're doing, see, most guys think that you can only have one orgasm and then you go into recovery mode at a time. That's not necessarily true.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you learn each other's bodies, you can have multiple as well. Look, Aaron said, "Hold on, let me try to figure this out. Tell me more." I've never seen Aaron do this.
I'm an F student, so I try to learn.
Let me
Come on, let's go.
Yeah, there is a way. See, most guys when they're having sex. So most guys when we have sex, we orgasm and ejaculate at the same time. We think that those things are necessarily the same. It's not. So part of dick discipline is not just not having sex, it's being able to control that. When you can control the orgasm and the ejaculation, although those together are two different experiences, you can actually ejaculate without orgasming, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it takes practice. It takes practice figuring. Like, trust me, y'all. I know from experience, right?
Why would I want to do that?
Actually, I want you guys go when you're done. When you guys are done, I want you guys to go Google this. Like Google.
Why would I want to do that?
Why would I want to? I'll make it easy.
You said why would you?
No, I'll make it easy.
You said
why the hell would I want to?
Hold on, Black.
You have no idea what you missing, my brother. You have no idea what you. Lord have mercy.
I don't know what you missing, bro. I don't know why I would want to nut without an orgasm. Right? That sounds like you watching a movie and you get to the end and they got a twist that not only you didn't expect but you didn't want.
Okay, let me tell you.
That's what Shyamalan movie. Stop that.
I'll tell you what. I want you to go look it up. I want you to go look it up. Take my word for it. Look it up, right? And then when you look it up, a black man. Let's
I don't want to do that. I specifically don't want to look it up. I specifically don't want to take your word for it. Nigga, I'm anti this. I'm anti this. My nut gotta come with the orgasm every time. I ain't gonna hold you. Yeah.
This man,
but I bet you,
that man said, I stand for this.
But I guarantee you, and you gotta wait a little bit.
I specifically don't want.
If you figure this out, you can go for multiple rounds.
What?
I do without that. Thank God. Thank God I do without that.
I'll make it easy.
That man said,
I encourage you guys to take a look at it and let me know what you guys think.
That's called torture. Is that the thing?
You guys look it up.
Geneva Convention against that, Sir Ham.
Look, I'm down to learn whatever, man.
Guys, listen. Take a look at
it. Read books first. Read them first. Don't family. Read, take notes.
See, this
I just got off
we
work.
don't know nothing.
I just got off work. I gotta get my nut. I gotta go longer.
That's what I'm saying. Y'all not ready for this, man. This is why a lot of wives be upset and unsatisfied because y'all bang get that nut off and then y'all done and y'all roll over and she be like, I want another 30 minutes. I'm telling you, you gotta take some time to learn this.
What you say right now? But when I was saying it,
I would just focus on her getting hers first.
Exactly.
And
I can feel exactly what you're saying. I'll pay attention.
But see, that's the myth. A lot of women's experience is connected to you enjoying yourself too.
Okay, but hold on.
See, we often say, I want
to get hers first. I get my next,
and
I'm done. That's it.
I do want to say this, though. That most of the time, guys see past that. And
I'm avoiding that. I hate that.
Because they don't know how to control their body like that. I mean, it took me up until just like 3 years ago to even realize that.
I'm trouble now. You know what I'm saying? I'm already troubled. It's an issue. It's an issue now.
I'm putting attention anywhere, which way or wherever. So, like, you know, it took me out. Sex was a shameful thing for me and my family. So there wasn't no shit we really just talked about like that. Right. So, like, when it came to a point, just like 3 years ago, I realized I wasn't even really relaxed when I was having sex. So, I mean, I would say that I'm a very considerate person when I'm thinking about my partner. So I won't say, but it might be maybe even too considerate. Because I'm not thinking about myself.
Oh, yeah.
Like, bam, oh, wow, we're trying to whoop.
But hear this, though. I just realized something. You know that in the UK,
Which one? Tea tree? Which one?
Teach people about the human body in that kind of way. They're actually trying to people to learn that in the United Kingdom. There was a document, me and my wife saw that. I remember a few years ago, the woman was teaching men how to understand the woman body on a much deeper level. And I was like, what?
So guys, I want to carve out 30 seconds, guys. I want to carve out 30 seconds to get a response from Cheeky.
What I mean? About what?
About everything you just heard, Cheek. Just give us some. Come on, Cheek. Give us something, Cheek. I need some philosophy, bro.
No, yeah, but again, as far as the experience of maybe the physical things, I can't necessarily speak on that directly, but I will say that what he spoke on was a lot of things was also missed was the emotional aspect of a woman. Like, again, when you start paying attention to who a woman is and how she's designed. Huh?
I'm sorry, you said about blessed oil.
Yeah, I did. I thought that too.
Go ahead, Chief.
Go ahead.
I can't hear nothing.
I know it.
What I'm supposed to do with this? She's like, what I'm supposed to do with this?
Well, I can't hear nothing. Like, I'm hearing like 4 voices. So I don't know who.
Oh, no. Go ahead, Chief. They was laughing at the comments.
Okay. I'm like, I don't know. But anyway, I'm just saying, again, what he was saying, it sounds that I can see that being the case. But again, like you guys were saying, I may not have had sex with a woman, but my interaction with women has always been successful just because of my ability to be emotionally intelligent, communicate, and you could break the touch barrier without having sex. Like I think that's a
how far can you go? How far can you go?
I would say
how far can you go? Oh, thank God someone else said it. Thank God.
I would say that you know your own boundaries and limits and you know what you're doing. So I don't think it's fair. Like, for example, women, women have made noises just when they're comfortable, they'll sigh or something. Like you, what you don't want to do is tease her, and what you don't want to do is set yourself up for failure.
You want to hold her, squeeze her. I'm sorry.
Nigga.
The word of the day is saposexual.
Well, I mean,
Saposexual.
you could say that, but well, I mean, I just think that's just part of a human being. There's more aspects to humanity besides the physical part. So if you can engage the mental, if you can engage the mental, emotional, and even spiritual aspect, that's when you get the full experience of a person. So again, those things I'm not unfamiliar to.
I got a couple of questions for Cheeky on this.
Just Kaya.
I got a couple of questions. Maybe two. Maybe just two questions actually.
Okay.
One question: do you believe that your experience with women sapiosexually has made you better with women sapiosexually?
What is that?
Like as time passes, do you feel like the more you talk to women, the better you get at handling them?
Homo sapien?
I don't think about handling women
On the mental level. This is mental. We're taking that physical out of it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I was saying there's a lot going on right now.
Are you asking?
Do you think the same experience follows you physically as well, no matter how much you try to diminish the physical aspect to say it's not the only thing, but the same experience follows you physically? It's not the same for a woman, which is why she should be a virgin. But for you, physically, you get to know a woman better the more women you encounter. That's a matter of fact, at least to me. If it's not to you, I understand because you ain't been with nobody yet. But specifically, if it works sapiosexually, it should also work physically. That's like the power of manifestation. You make what happens in your mind manifest in physical reality. So really, when you have a woman, you get to know her physically as well as mentally, because what you're doing is good so far, but getting to know her physically is so important. And that's how you get to know how much time you got to take with any specific different type of woman. At least from my own experience, I'll say that. Because I was a nerd.
I'm missing it.
I didn't know how to handle women physically when I was younger.
Wait.
Oh, go ahead. You got it.
I'm trying
to. I know now.
I'm trying to.
These girls nut now. I make them nut now, and that's not cap. Go ahead.
I'm trying to understand you because I kind of missed it. So you're saying knowing a woman physically. Well, could you repeat it and slow down a little bit?
Okay. I look at you and I look up to you to a certain degree from the way that you, as Cheeky, explain well how when you interact with women sapiosexually, that means mental stimulation plus breaking the touch barrier. You're not fucking, but you do know how to touch them to get them to that spot. I appreciate that about you fully and completely. I'm like, oh, as a young nigga doing this shit at this age, that's commendable.
Well, let me clarify something.
Breaking the touch barrier.
Let me clarify.
Up to the extent of having sex.
Hey, Cheeky trying to get a word in.
Yeah, I'm just trying to clarify. Like, I didn't know that I was doing those things. It wasn't until after they told me. Like, again, when you
I believe you is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just don't want to make it seem like I was just out here knowing what I was doing. I had to learn.
No. When you speak, the ring of truth is in your voice. So when you say it, I don't feel like you some young nigga saying, I get girls. And I'm like, nigga, do you? I hear it in your voice and I hear it in the way that you speak, and I can relate it to how I speak and how other men speak. I can just hear it in your voice. I understand that, and I'm giving you that as a given. I'm not questioning that about you at all. Sapiosexually, I'm sure you stimulate women's minds, right?
Okay.
The next thing that you say that you do diminish the physical aspect, which you are a virgin. So it goes hand in hand. It just makes sense. But the reality is the same thing that's working for you sapiosexually with women is the same thing that's going to work with you physically as a man over time, which is my only argument for you. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, I'm not trying to diminish anything. I think the issue that we run into as men is men typically only touch on that aspect a lot of the times. Like, I remember talking to people outside of my father about sex just because that's what men do, and they would always talk about the sexual gratification from a very physical level. Don't nobody really talk about, oh yeah, I had a conversation with her, it went great, and it's just like, man, she gave me head, it was great, and I nutted in like 10 seconds. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that I'm trying to diminish it, but I think the issue that a lot of people have whenever having conversations in regards to sex and involving men, it's so physical, it's so heavily relied on the physical that a lot of people don't necessarily touch on the mental or emotional aspect.
Let me respond to that.
That
part.
makes
So,
sense for
I said-
that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes widespread for just men in general, but a lot of men don't have your discipline. So people focus on that. For you is different than other motherfuckers. Like for you, yeah, because you got the mental down pat. For other niggas, I'd look at them and be like, nigga, you don't even know what the first thing to say to a girl is. You don't know how to stimulate. You don't know how to go.
Got you.
You don't know how to approach. You don't know how to say hello. You don't know how to give a bitch options. Like shit like that, where it's like as you, I could tell you already know.
Well,
But
I just want to make it clear. I just want to make it clear.
It's the only part where you lacking.
Well, yeah, I just want
you
to
got
make
the
it clear.
tools.
I just want to make it clear. I'm not diminishing the physical because I think that's a whole part. So if that's what's being perceived, that's not my intention. It's just I understand that a lot of
it's not just physical,
right? And that's the biggest part that I think a lot of guys I've heard speak when they speak on sex is typically.
But the reason why though is sex in it inherently is both emotional and physical. So I think a lot of guys, unless you have the ability to we know because we read and we research and we study, so we are studious in our approach to this. A lot of guys, they're not getting that game. They are having an emotional experience and they can't articulate it. But I don't think that I think that guys talk about what they can articulate and they don't what they can't articulate. But I think inherently we know. Right, we feel a certain way before we start having sex. We feel a certain way after we start having sex. Right, it's emotional. It's just that a lot of us guys, we weren't taught to have this kind of conversation. So I think that's what it is. So just because guys don't bring it up, I think the awareness is still there.
And I agree with you too. But that again, trying to get a man to express that, especially because one, that's a whole nother conversation about men just expressing how they feel and communicating emotional, like men being emotionally intelligent is also an issue in and of itself.
Absolutely.
But trying to get a man to express that is hard to do, and it's also hard for them to admit that, because there's a lot of
no, I don't think it is.
Well, but see, that's the thing.
We don't use the word emotions a lot, but we talk.
Yeah.
So think about it. When you go to the barbershop and you guys are having a conversation, you guys go to the barbershop, right? Obviously, I don't have a need to go to the barbershop. Right. Yeah, right. Same thing with me as well, right? Yeah, I'm trying to save some money. But when you having those conversations, you guys are talking on a frequency about stuff. And just because we don't use the words emotions, right, doesn't mean that we're not emotionally aware. When a guy's like, hey man, my wife at home is tripping, bro, or my girl tripping, that's an emotional conversation. The difference is we don't express it the same way our counterparts do, and we associate the feminine expression as emotion. And so I think as guys, we have to know how men articulate, and that just because we emote differently doesn't mean that we emote any less.
And I agree with you on that, but the problem starts becoming when
you're trying to emote less.
Just
I disagree.
Just to speak on what
we just emote in a different way. Our emotions are expressed in more of aggression and anger. Those were emotions, right? Men are talking in cooperation and communication. So we're just emotional. It just expresses itself in a different way.
So just to
three levels.
Just to speak on what you're saying, you're saying it's emoted differently, and I agree with you. But trying to explain to men why I'm a virgin is to make sure my emotional stability is also well too. It's hard for them because they typically disassociate emotions and sex, right? And that's because they think they can just keep knocking down women and there's no emotional backlash for them, which a lot of men either choose to deny or not fully accept, or whatever the case may be. But that's what I mean by it's hard to get them to speak on that, because the idea and the premise that sex only affects women emotionally and not men is not idealistic or even common, because I don't think that's how God would create an intimate moment for two people to even interact like that. Why would it affect one person and not the other? The issue that I've found is men have a very hard time either accepting those things or they just flat out deny it. And when you do either of those things, you're denying the aspect of yourself that shouldn't be denied, because you're still a human being, right? So that's what I mean by what I mean when I say it's hard for men to speak on that, because most men have to have a level of maturity and understanding of themselves mentally, physically, and spiritually to be able to tap into articulating themselves emotionally. So if you don't have those things and you're still learning how to do that, of course our conversation will be limited by your lack of ability to articulate how you feel. But at the same time, I know it's still there because you're a man. Just because I'm a man, so I know I have feelings, and I know if I were to be sexually involved,
yeah,
right. Well, a man, just human. So,
Yep.
in that sense, I would say, the reason I made my decisions was the large part of it was to my effects on other people. Right. That's just a part of being a good leader, is being very mindful of your actions and how your actions affect others. So I didn't want the burden of giving someone else some emotional attachment or connection because of a physical experience, and then being totally selfish and detaching myself from her. Then that causes some kind of emotional or psychological trauma on her. But it also in a way has done some things to me that may not affect me as much, but still there. Like I know a lot of guys who were not who were virgins, and the girl that they messed with were not, and they fell in love with that girl because that experience meant they just didn't know what they were doing, right? So all of those things, factor into my decision making skill, as well as just my father being very truthful and forthcoming about what sex is and how women interact and the difference between the two sexes, and just being a leader, right? So the biggest thing, my dad never told me to be a virgin. That was not in his vocab. That was never part of his messaging. It was just to be a leader and be a stand-up guy. And that decision of being a virgin it was pushed by my dad in the sense of just being a good man, but it was never like, hey, be a virgin, or hey, do this. He gave me information, and with that information and how I was raised and my character based off of my family background, I was able to make a decision on my own and stay true to it.
Man, I appreciate you for sharing that too, man. And as we come to a close, I just want to say to each and every one of you before we go, if you have a platform that you want to promote right now, please do so. We'll start with Sir Hill. Go ahead and get yours out of the way, and then we'll go move on to everybody else, and so we can get everybody out of here, because Anton just started the party, so everybody got to get to that party. But go ahead, and we'll start with you, Sir Hill.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to follow this great content, go to Sir Hill Speaks again. Sir Hill Speaks on YouTube. Hope to see you guys there. I appreciate all the subscription. Thank you. Thanks, Black Man.
Absolutely. No problem. And what about you, Black David?
I don't have a platform yet, but I'm still thinking about it, because for one, I know I got a lot to share, like either like a contributor or a co-panel whatsoever. Because if I was to start mine, I got so much to share, either be based on family, based on growth, based on IT. It's hard to figure where I'm gonna start it from. But until then, I'm still thinking upon, okay, even though I got a good paying job and I can mention how much I'm making, but
I
I
mean,
want to make sure whatever I do is genuine.
Absolutely. And
That's what I'm looking for.
Queso?
I do have a channel. Mine's a little different from the normal type of topics. So I have a lot of fun on my channel. Sometimes I just vlog and just, a lot of creative stuff. I'm also a filmmaker. If you don't see the big light behind me. But I will say Sir Hal's channel is super dope. I've definitely checked out his stuff.
Absolutely.
His stuff is dope. So make sure y'all subscribe. Make sure y'all subscribe to Black Man Unfiltered too. His stuff is he's creating a platform for us to have these conversations and to influence others, and I don't know, just have these important conversations, towards a larger audience. So I think that's dope and deserves to be rewarded with subscriptions and likes. So make sure you hit the like button on your way out.
Absolutely. Appreciate Cheeky.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have a platform, but I, from my understanding, I think on Wednesdays around 7:00 is Lapif Network, and I know Jonathan Barrow as well as Jedi Mike. We're typically going to be on that panel.
All right, and let's see who we got left. We got L Boogie in the corner. L's always here. Lance is always here every Tuesday with me, and he posting up every Friday for Cooking with King. So I want to appreciate him for coming out. Jedi Mike, you got anything you want to promote?
Yeah, I do my channel, Jedi Mike 7. There's reviews, news, and truth. There's some different content there, talking more about movies and other content, but I'm going to be shifting that differently moving forward, kind of going more into this space, but from a younger perspective, from me and Cheeky and point of view. I know I'm going to get you guys the content info, so we'll be linking up soon to see ideas we can contribute to as well. But I just say thank you guys for having me to this platform, and I respect all of y'all and look tomorrow to you guys too. Yeah.
And just another young Zoe, what you got?
I'm just another young Zoe, so I'm starting my channel. I'm building content still right now. I got a lot of stuff. I'm gonna drop it a lot of it all at once, basically on how to give a bitch options, to put it in no less terms. Political. I discuss. I review political content as well. I review just topics of my general interest, but I don't like to call myself red pill. I like to call myself pre-red pill because a lot of things that I feel like is natural for me is things that I understood from how I look at the Bible to how I look at different books I've read in my life, to Richest Man in Babylon, to meditations, to people who influence me like Black Man Unfiltered.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
No doubt. Jordan Peterson too, I guess. I gotta throw him in there, and Alan Watts. Just different philosophies that I understand that where I feel like everything comes together at a point is what I try to explain. And then primarily to how to give your bitch options is important to me. It's like that's primary to me, whether you're married.
And what before we leave,
I'll leave it at that. Matter of fact,
if you guys are watched Lapeef last night, they had a great show. I was on here for the last probably 2 hours, but I will say that he promoted a book last night.
Oh God!
And yeah, and the name of that book, I don't know if y'all can see it. Let me see if I could get it on the screen here.
Hold on, let me full screen it. Hold on, keep it right there.
I remember this.
Say the title, but
the name of the book is
write it down.
The name of the book is In Search of Good Pussy: Living Without Love. Now,
let me look that up.
He said it's not, Anton. I mean, well, they say that it's not what you think it is. It's a metaphor. So you have to actually read the book.
Well, duh.
Right. So it ain't
that easy. Nah, that title.
You're right.
That title, I'd be like, well, what are we talking about?
Right. Some people will say that.
We know that's clout. we know that's clickbait. It's okay.
Bridgestone or Firestone tires for your SUV, all at Tires Plus.
So I want to make one more point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think guys like Jedi Mike and Cheeky Banter are the future. So when I look at y'all, I see the next president. I see the next real man. I see things in y'all that like make me like give me energy to have these conversations, because I wasn't only person I have these conversations with is like my brothers, siblings, and family stuff. I don't really get to talk about this type of stuff in the community where I feel like, you know, you might get canceled or you might be seen as politically incorrect and you might not get to the full extent of the conversation. So I appreciate y'all being a part of this conversation as young men, because, you know, that's what lets me have hope for the future myself.
All right, man. Well, again, this has been Black Men Unfiltered presents, Cooking with Kings. We do this every Friday. So guys, if you want to hop back in next Friday, we'll be talking about something completely different and bringing another perspective, just having the men have the conversation. And thanks to everybody that stopped by. They had to go there. We're not ready.
I'll be back.
And so every Friday at 8:00, guys. Every Tuesday, you want to pop in on Tuesdays. We'll have the whole panel, the females, the males, all together on Tuesdays at 8:30. Right, and I know there's King Talk that night too. So if y'all want to just hop back and forth, you can. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for your support. Sir Hale, always, bro. Jedi Mike, Lance, Cheeky, appreciate you coming in for the first time. K-Soul, I love you, bro. Just another Zoe, thank you, bro, for coming in. And this has been Black Man Unfiltered, Cooking with Kings. See y'all in a minute. Hey, man, great show. Now, heading over to another platform. If y'all want to head over there with us, go to AntonDaniels.com or Anton Daniels, type it in. You'll see me there in about 2 minutes. Peace.